for that game. And that's where it's been the whole show. Lance said it opened at 2. I did not see where it opened.
I saw yesterday there were a couple of people sending me 2. I don't know exactly where that was shopped.
Yeah, but 3.5 has been a pretty solid line the entire course of this show. It has stuck there at Alabama favored 3.5.
Lanceslock.com to get plays and mybookie.ag
4-0
plays at games. 4-0 last night at Lanceslock.com.
We had the 2 ranked teams losing outright. We had Texas over Oklahoma. We had South Carolina over Kentucky.
Now,
so jump on board, Lanceslock.com.
I am a far from an experienced gambler.
But 4-0 is good?
No. I was going to ask Lance about this. I brought this up to Stephen Pearl yesterday. I think Auburn, if I remember right, 5th in the nation in first halves. They get off the fast starts. Alabama's a 1.5-point favorite in the first half. Would you if you like Auburn overall, you'd probably like Auburn in the first half too.
Yeah, look, there's some different angles you can play with that, but basketball is just one of those sports that if I like a side, I would rather just play it for the game because it would be so typical that Alabama's up 3 at half, Auburn still wins the game.
Yeah,
I still have more money than I put into mybookie.ag. But
I haven't talked about parlays in a while.
Yeah, are you off?
I'm on parlays, but you know what they are? They're not game parlays anymore. Little T has taught me how to use. By the way,
my
Little
gosh,
T has
our
taught me
20-something social media directors teaching you how to bet.
Little T has taught me how to do player props in games, and I parlay those.
Like she taught you how to physically do it at MyBookie, or she taught you what to look for?
The MyBookie, I couldn't figure out how to work it. And she's like, it's real simple. You just do this, this, and this. So I've been doing a lot of 4-player parlays, in-game parlays. And
boy, that's hit all the time.
Well, I've hit about 1 out of every 5, which keeps me about the same amount of money.
That's good.
But I was so frustrating because I won 2 of them on Sunday. If they just marked that ball right on that, I think it was the Moore kid who caught it past the first down marker and they moved it back a yard. And I missed it by half a yard, or I hit 2 different 4-player parlays off of that one placement of the ball.
Yeah, you think,
but you know who didn't care about throwing a flag or stopping it? The NFL or Tampa Bay.
Yeah, sides and totals are so close. If you look at some of these player props, how they hit 83.5 is the total yards. It's right on 83 or 84. It's pretty insane.
They owe me $300. That official owes me $350 in my opinion.
Was it Bill Vinovich?
It was probably his crew. He's doing the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift probably will be there too. That's our show. We'll see you from Tuscaloosa later on tonight. Follow us on social media at Next Round Live. Thumbs up, hearts, bells, all the jingles there at Next Round Live. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America.
Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live will share the latest interviews and videos from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and campuses all over the college landscape. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Live Daily Show. Jim, Lance, and Ryan will share their thoughts, and remember, you can always see the old shows on the Next Round Live YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and don't forget to comment. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. It's Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
You've been wearing that thin, raggedy t-shirt for years now, and people cannot stop whispering and staring in your vicinity. We've all been there. Luckily, there's a solution to your lack of fashion and social cues. At NextRound.store, they have plenty of options when it comes to a variety of shirts and hats. Once you start putting that Next Round gear on, be prepared to make new lifelong friends and hundreds of unforgettable conversations. Hope you like random high fives in the street, because that's what you're getting after visiting NextRound.store.
Make sure to start your day at nextroundlive.com. Get caught up on the latest podcasts and videos from the Live Daily Show, plus specialty shows such as the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can also learn more about the whole staff at Double Down Media, find all of our social media feeds, see the latest videos from our YouTube channel and gaming channel, plus find other ways to consume the show like the Next Round mobile app, which you can download direct from the site via your iOS and Android device. Make nextroundlive.com your homepage and stay up to date with everything from us here at the Next Round.
The Next Round store is live and loaded. Check out the latest logo t-shirts and hoodies, get your favorite team colors, the Next Round flag shirt, or grab the popular Y'all Can Have the Rest t-shirts. Go to nextround.store. That's nextround.store.
Take the Next Round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store. Call the Next Round now at 205-734-0923. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Jim Harbaugh is gone from Michigan. That coaching search likely doesn't make it through the afternoon. We'll find out more on that as we move throughout the day and get to everything going on in college football, including a recommitment, for the time being at least, of the 5-star wide receiver Ryan Williams. But we start with basketball today and Alabama's win over Auburn last night at Coleman Coliseum, where I kept waiting for a Ryan Brown tweet or text to me about, it reminds me, Jimmy, of old Legion Field clock that wasn't working. The lights went out last night.
Yep.
Not really totally. They were just locked in the red glow of the pregame, and I didn't even notice on the first bucket they had not come back on. Auburn drains that three, and then all of a sudden there's a stoppage of play, and for 15 minutes they worked every combination they could to get the lights to unlock.
It worked perfectly for me because I was going to Odie's to watch the game before we started trivia, and I had taken the kids to dinner, and so I was going to be a little bit late, and I figured I'd probably miss the first 10 minutes of action, and I was going to listen to Chris Stewart and Brian Pasick on the way over, and hits the shot, then the lights go out, and literally when I pulled into Odie's is when they restarted play. So it worked out perfectly. But if there is an example of what a shithole Coleman Coliseum is, there you go.
Yeah, can't even keep the lights on. It is. I didn't not even think about it. It's been so long since I've thought about Legion Field. I didn't even think about the connection. But you're right. I mean, Alabama, the proud program Alabama could never play a game at Legion Field where they didn't have to stop it for clock malfunction.
We're going to, what was the old saying? The clock is malfunctioning. We're going to keep the time on the field.
Yeah, it was every single Legion Field game. And I'm like, I don't know how a proud program like Alabama is dealing with a clock that will not work.
It was unbelievable. But they worked hard. They got it back on. Greg Byrne walked and apologized to the officials and then over to the Auburn bench. And after a re-warm up, they cranked the game back up. And listen, when Auburn comes out and hits that three to start with, and if Alabama had come out of that delay and blew them out of the arena, I was going to be like, oh no, this will be a storyline.
Yeah.
But then Auburn jumped out early, what was it? A double-digit lead out of the extended timeout, and I was like, well, it didn't hurt Auburn. They still started hot.
So I read this on Twitter because I was watching, obviously. Actually, I was in a restaurant for the first half as well, watched second half at home. But I was reading on Twitter that Tony Giles, the PA announcer, announced, everybody stay in your seats. We're going to turn the lights completely off for 45 seconds, right?
Totally dark, and of course the student section was like,
I'm pouring another drink.
Yeah. Because all I could think of, Rockstar, is the lights go off for 45 seconds. I don't know why I thought, no, I know why I thought of this because it comes up on the show and I don't know why. But the lights go off for 45 seconds and they come back on, and that Bane guy from Batman is standing at midcourt with a microphone.
People of Tuscaloosa.
Oh, Tuscaloosa. You saw what I did to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. He would only need one dynamite stick for Coleman.
Greg Byrne would have been
something, but you've already started the process.
Greg Byrne would have been like, hey, Bane, let us just clear the people out. Yeah. We'll help you set the charges.
Yeah, you can blow really hard.
Oh, Tuscaloosa.
Just let me check the insurance papers real quick to make sure we get this refunded.
I mean, I had no idea why I thought of that, but I was sitting in this restaurant, in a Mexican restaurant, laughing, thinking of the lights coming up and Bane standing at midcourt, and Greg Byrne's like, no, let us just clear everybody out. You can blow this thing up all you want.
Yeah.
All right, that did not happen, though, right?
It did not, but he did make the announcement, and they never totally went all the way out. So whatever click I pictured them going into their garage, whatever Coleman Coliseum garage is, and I don't know if you guys ever do this at the house when something goes wrong. You just start doing fuses on and off on the fuse box. I figured they had somebody in the Coleman.
Did that fix it?
Yeah. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Here, try this one. That one?
Fix it?
No, that turned off the dishwasher.
You would just think that something like that wouldn't happen. Of course, we had it happen in a Super Bowl. So
that's right.
At the Superdome, which is
speaking of which,
one rung above Legion Field. Is
the
Superdome.
last Super Bowl, Jim Harbaugh was involved in.
We'll get to that, but let's stick to Alabama and Auburn first to get some reaction here to what went on last night. Being brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services for your heating, plumbing, and your cooling system.
Yeah, look, I actually had to turn on the AC last night. That's how weird our weather is right now.
High today in the 70s.
205-229-2090. Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys at Hemp Hill Services. The name Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs. Hard to stop a train. Call them today. Tell them the next round sent you. For more information, hemphillservices.com.
All right, Rockstar, give me cut 2 ready as we jump into the game. Nate Oates in Alabama with the win last night. 79-75 over, it was 2 top 10 Ken Palm teams. And to me, it played out that way. I mean, they played a gut-wrenching, hard-fought, physical contest that Alabama wins. Alabama needed that win more than Auburn needed that win. It wasn't a must-win for Alabama, but they needed that win.
I think it was. I mean, once they, like, going into it, maybe not, but when they were up 14 at half, and then it looked like Auburn was going to come back and steal one in Coleman, and that would have dropped Alabama to, 12-7? That was going to be an awful back-breaking loss, in my opinion. Like, Alabama could have survived, and they still could find their way getting in the NCAA tournament. But for whatever reason, if they were on the bubble and they were left out at the end of the year, I think you would have looked back at that game. Yeah. So they were fortunate. I mean, Auburn, I'll say this. We're about to show Nate Oates. I didn't like the red buttons on the dress shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he outcoached Bruce Pearl.
That's cool
and
colors.
Bruce Pearl for...
Wait. How did he outcoach Bruce Pearl? I mean, they won the game, but
yeah,
was
well,
it
I mean,
a schematic thing.
Alabama doesn't have anybody on the interior that can guard what they've got.
Okay, that's a good point.
And Broome did have 17 attempts, but you look at Jalen Williams, he only had 9 attempts. Cardwell only had 2 attempts in 14 minutes. Pound. And here's the thing. Janai Broome's line looks great, 25, 14, and 5 blocks, but he missed like 3 chippies at the rim.
Yeah. He did, but he could have scored 50, I think. Alabama had no answer for him. And
I keep pounding. I mean, Auburn decides to shoot 25 threes.
That's what I was going to. Your point is that's almost Alabama's game, shooting that many threes, shooting 25.
By the way, you're 5 of 25.
And Jay Williams pointed this out a lot on the broadcast, is that Auburn keeps getting baited into Alabama's game, and he was saying the same thing Lance was saying. He's like, Alabama has no answer for Janai Broome. Every single trip, get him the ball. And Williams pointed out, early in the second half, he's like, Broome is sprinting up and down the court, and he's not touching the ball. I do not understand why they're not getting him the ball.
Yeah, so I thought Bruce was outcoached.
Yeah, so you'll get that probably when they go back to Neville later this year in the rematch. They'll look at the tape and they're like, why do we shoot 25 threes in this game? Let's play it a little bit more physical, play it a little bit more inside. Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe you see a little bit of Cardwell and Broome on the court at the same time. Why you don't do that, I don't know. I will ask you this real quick, though. Trey Donaldson, and Bruce admitted this afterwards. Aiden Holloway, I don't think he scored. I don't think he made a shot. But Trey Donaldson was having a good game. And Bruce said afterwards, I probably should have got Trey one more rotation because you're rotating a lot of players in. And when you rotate a lot of players in, sometimes the hot guy's on the bench and the cold guy's in the game. I thought Donaldson was having a good game and should have been in there maybe a little bit more near the end.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Holloway. Look, true freshman, this guy might end up being one of the next great point guards, but he reminds me of Russell Westbrook when he's having a bad game. He will shoot you out of a game. I said this earlier this year, and I said the most captain obvious thing. I was sitting there at a table watching at Odie's last night, and I was like, if Holloway can ever learn how to shoot, he's going to be really good. And a guy looked at me, he was like, it was my problem. I would have been really good at hoops if I could have learned how to shoot too.
Exactly.
It gets us all.
I will tell you this, though. The Grant Nelson transition to Alabama has had mixed reviews with Alabama fans. Last night was his best game, 14 points, 11 rebounds. He was finally physical, and there was a reason why it happened last night. Here's Nate Oates after the contest.
Grant said that Ryland sternly challenged him on the bench during the game. In your course of winning championships over the year, how important is that to the DNA of the team to have the players challenging each other, coaching themselves up on the bench?
The best teams I've ever coached are player coach teams, to be honest with you. I mean, we give them some direction, put them in the right system, but like that stuff, the best teams you have, that stuff comes from the players. So it was great that Ryland stepped up. I mean, basically told Grant, we need you. Like, we need you to play tough. Like you're good enough. Like, we need you. Step it up. He stepped it up. After the game, Ryland kind of raised his hand. Coach, let me say something. He said, look, Grant, way to step it up. After I chat, we've been talking about this. We need some leadership. We need some guys to play so hard every possession that when somebody else isn't playing hard, they don't fit in. And then you challenge them, and they need to fit in with how hard we play. I thought today was a big step in that. And Ryland's been playing pretty hard on defense. He was really locked in today, both sides of the ball.
And that's where we thought Alabama was going to come up short in this game, that their defense maybe wouldn't match it, the caliber that Auburn brought into this defensively. And it was a physical, crap-talking game. And, the incident where it looked like I think it was Wagee Brownie that tried to step on Janai Broom's hand there. And that's obviously a replay there. I mean, it was one of those games that – it was a brawl on the court.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just the opposite. Was it the Bama-Missouri game where they were teeing people up just for talking during the game? There was no tees being thrown around for talking last night.
No, and I thought Sears was going to get one.
Yeah.
Sears did get the one, right, for throwing the ball.
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
Did he get it finally?
Yeah, throwing the ball at the
They went and reviewed it because
foul.
that crew spent more time at the monitor than I did. I was at home.
Yeah.
But, my God, they went to the monitor for everything.
But I probably couldn't see it on television at times, but like one time Sears hit a shot, maybe a three, or maybe it was at the bucket. Broom had just gone to the bench, and Broom and Sears are just chatting back and forth intensely when Broom on the bench and Sears standing in front of the bench. And there was a lot of back and forth in that high-intensity basketball.
Yeah, and K.D. Johnson really, really got into it. Obviously, K.D. is one of those guys that is going to bring the energy and going to be vocal every single night. But back to Grant Nelson. A couple of things. One of the best hidden gem TV shows of all time, The Killing. Guy named Joel Kinnaman. Whoever watched Suicide Squad, they might know who this actor is. But he played Stephen Holder in The Killing. He looks just like Grant Nelson. Almost a strung-out Seattle crackhead.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they if you pull side by side Stephen Holder, the cop from The Killing, he looks like Grant Nelson. But Grant Nelson's confidence on the outside shot, it looked like it looked like a guy that is playing horse that hasn't played in like 3 or 4 years. But then you see the athleticism.
Well, they needed him, and Ryland's challenge was they just need some height. They need somebody inside, and they did a rotation of Stevenson, Wagee, and Grant on Janai Broom and Cardwell when they were in the game, and it was, obviously that's Alabama's weak point. They needed Nelson to be a little bit more physical, to play into his body a little bit more.
Now, the dunk follow might have been the biggest moment of the game.
Yep.
100% by Nelson.
And how you don't block out there.
I know. That's just it's poor effort.
Don't get caught watching the paint dry.
But Nelson's not what he was advertised to be. It's a missing spot for Alabama right now.
He was advertised.
Well, Jim, I mean, my God, they're 20 games into the season. I think that's who he is.
Supposed to be Dalton Connect.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. It's supposed to be Dalton Connect.
Yeah, Dalton Connect is Nelson's what everybody thought Dalton Connect would be, and Dalton Connect's what everybody thought Nelson would be.
Yeah, but the juicy part of the schedule still ahead, and I think that's my point. Could last night be the turning point for Grant Nelson? Does he find now a little comfort in playing a little bit more physical at this level? What you have to do to be successful at this level? It's a great stat line for him: 14 points and 11 rebounds. Obviously, you can't get a double-double every night, but if you give that kind of stat line every night, that helps this team out defensively a ton.
Yeah, no, I would agree. He's got the length. He's got the athleticism. That reverse was pretty insane, especially you were wondering where his confidence was at that moment in the game. So those were big points from Grant Nelson. Somebody in the chat room was asking me, should that three have counted at the buzzer? There was 0.5 left. I knew when you have a 80, what is Chad Baker-Mazara? 82% from the stripe?
I think that's what he was. Going to the stripe, I think they said 82 or 83 at the time.
He misses 2 in the final 243. You got a guy like Jalen Williams who's right at 80%, misses 1 there. I was like, they're going to lose by 4. They're catching 3.5. But they had that one shot with 0.5 left that they put back on the clock. Just easy layup right there. You're not going to win the game. They're not going to foul you on a three-point attempt.
The only way, I know, but the only way you can get back in the game is to get fouled on a three-point attempt. So inbounding it for a lay-in does nothing for you. You at least got to try a three.
Yeah, try to catch it, get some contact some way.
Hope an idiot fouls you.
And that was the problem is like he looked for contact, like throwing a leg out and taking that second, I don't know. It went in.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah.
I
after
needed
the buzzer.
2 more tenths of a second.
I know you did.
The coverage continues on. Oh, here's the comparison you're talking about.
Wow, that is pretty good, Lance.
Yeah, but so, okay, you're looking at obviously a headshot there from Kinnaman and really a headshot from Nelson. In the wild, when Nelson is sweating and playing, and then Kinnaman, when you saw him on the streets of the Killing, I mean, they're spot on.
Yeah, very like figures there. Alabama wins last night. Bruce Pearl, learned a lot about his team last night, even in defeat. He said that afterwards. And, Auburn's quad one games, there haven't been a ton of them, Brown. So they get one last night, and they play really well. And where are they in the KenPom? I would imagine that doesn't change your KenPom point at all because you played to within 4 points on the road against another KenPom top 10 team.
Auburn's 5, Alabama's 8, same thing. So and the net, Auburn has slipped a spot below Alabama now in the net. Alabama jumped 2 spots to be in front of Auburn as Auburn slips to 0-3 in quad one games, and that continues to be a storyline for Auburn, and they get another chance coming up Saturday on the road at Mississippi State to try to shake that, where I guess they're going to be favored, Lance. I mean, Auburn will be favored in that game, won't they?
In Starkville?
Yeah. Auburn will be favored to win that game. That could be their first quad one win. After last night, I think State is right around 40-something, so easily a quad one win if you can get that.
Rockstar, give me cut 7. We'll hear from Bruce here, but I want to ask you, we said yesterday, three road games in the SEC. What do we think Auburn's record would be?
We all said 2-1.
We all said 2-1. That somewhere they would lose one of these. You didn't want it to be your rival. Thought maybe it could be Mississippi State if you beat Alabama or the game after that. But here's Bruce after a loss. LT's been pointing this out every time we've heard from Bruce after every game in this 11-game win streak. He's been sort of trying to, downplay the 11-game win streak, waiting for a coaching moment. Here's Bruce.
You've been challenging this team during the 11-game win streak to stay humble and stay working. What do you learn from this outcome that you'll build on for the rest of the year?
Well, I mean, they're going to run people out of here a lot, period. And they didn't run us out. So I think our guys will go, all right, we can compete on the road, tough environment against a really, really good team, So this may not be the outcome we wanted, but this is an outcome that tells me something. You got to be pretty good to be able to come in here and not get run out in this environment against us.
That's why I think Saturday is such a big game for them. I know it's just State. I hate to say just State. Chris Jan's a good coach. They've played well. They're 42 in the net.
I agree with you.
I saw this stat floating around last night. I can't independently verify it, but it is a believable stat that Auburn is over their last 10 against top 100 KenPom teams on the road. And that's alarming. At some point, you got to put your foot in the ground if you're Auburn and say, we're not just a good team in Neville Arena. We're a good team anywhere we play. And they they fought back last night. That was not their A game. They missed 9 straight threes to finish the first half. That's how you get down 14. And at some point, they got to put their foot in the ground and say, okay, this is who we are.
That's right.
And I think it's a gut check game for them. It's far from a must-win or season on the line. I'm just saying, at State, that's a pretty good team. They got to, at some point, put their foot in the ground and say, we're not just a good team at Neville Arena.
We thought that moment was when they demolished Arkansas and Fayetteville.
Yeah, but Arkansas no good.
Arkansas turned out not to be the team we thought they are.
Yeah, I thought this would be different for Pearl. I said this, it seems like he's waiting to undress this team. They haven't been very good. He's kind of poor-mouthed them. And once they lost a game, I thought he would come out and completely rip them. Look, these guys have been reading the headlines. We've won 11 consecutive games. This was by far the best team we've played.
That's where they were headed at halftime, but his team showed so much guts in the second half.
Well, and I said this, sitting at that table, down 14, I was like, I kind of like the spot Auburn's in. Because now I think Bruce can go pill pain at halftime, watch how they respond coming out. And they came out on a 9-0 run.
Yeah.
And they had every opportunity. But, the thing is, Alabama, the ultimate equalizer is the 3. And if Alabama's going to come out and hit 11 threes, it's hard to beat a team that does that.
And that's their number. That's what they usually hit is 11, right on it. And that's what they hit last night, 11 in that building anyway. So Alabama's now won 12 straight SEC games in Coleman Coliseum. Lights on, lights off, doesn't matter. They're good at Coleman Coliseum. That's Bruce's point there. One more amazing soundbite from last night that I'm going to trust the person who tells the story that is true right after LT tells us about our friends at Odie's.
So the question last night, what came first? The Oreo cookie or the sinking of the Titanic?
Sinking the Titanic, Rockstar, 1921? 12? 1912. I reversed my numbers.
I'm going to go Titanic then, because I think there was a cookie called Hydrox, which I thought was just for poor people.
And poor people are Bible school at church.
I told you my first dog was named Drox after the Hydrox.
Yeah, but it turns out Hydrox was just the first Oreo cookie, and then because I remember reading about this somewhere, the people at Nabisco started the Oreo cookie to take away the market share from Hydrox, and their billboard was make the switch to Oreo.
Yeah.
They did, and they totally stole it, and they had a patent thing, and they actually got Hershey to be involved by putting a little bit of Hershey's chocolate in their cookie to say we actually have real chocolate. Hydrox does not. It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Hydrox got screwed.
So I'm going to go Titanic, slightly older than the Oreo.
I think you can dunk the Titanic deeper than you can an Oreo.
Wow.
So I'll go Oreo.
Bad day overall for everyone. Tax day was Titanic, April 15th of 1912.
Somebody was bitching about paying their taxes, and they're like, well, you could have been on the Titanic.
The Oreo, March 6th of 1912. So the Oreo actually debuted before the sinking of the Titanic. Little factoids you can find at Odie's every Wednesday night when we do Odie's Team Trivia. You can also enjoy the great food from Rodney Davis. Both locations, the one we were at last night in Crestline. By the way, we did not start trivia until after the game at 9 o'clock.
Showing respect.
Yeah. But also the newest location in Edgewood, ice cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light. Stop in, see Will Haver and that great staff. It is Odie's Tavern.
Okay. Rockstar, give me cut number 9. Nate Oates was on the Field of 68 After Dark podcast last night. And I dropped a little tee off here at the Blue Lake Center afterwards. And then I flicked it on Sirius XM, and Nate, this show is carried live on there. And this is nothing about the basketball game. The guy in the lower left of the quad box there is Matt McCall. He lives.
Josh Gad's on top.
Matt McCall lives just outside of Jupiter, Florida. Now listen to this story he tells, and just as he's telling the story for 31 seconds, imagine it really happening and you're in this restaurant.
I live in a small town now down in South Florida near Jupiter. And no lie, last week I was out to dinner with my wife, and Coach Saban came in the restaurant, and he waited 30 minutes on a table. And he was smiling. He's enjoying retirement. He was enjoying retirement. I can promise you that.
Listen, this transfer portal, I think he's definitely got enough money to retire nicely down there in Jupiter. He's got a nice spot down there. Maybe I'll get an invite down there.
I like how Nate almost went into retirement. It's like, yeah, I better not talk about that.
I feel kind of guilty. Where did I waited? I waited somewhere for about 10 minutes not long ago. And we talk about not waiting. And this is not trying to be uppity, any of that stuff. I just don't want to wait in line. I'll just go to another restaurant.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But Nick Saban, can you imagine? Let's go back to Nick here. Tell me about Nick. Can you see him waiting?
Nick doesn't seem like a patient guy at all. But, maybe he's that at peace right now. Look, I get to sit here, and this is something we haven't done. Him and his wife have probably not waited for a table in, 35, 40 years.
If it's a good enough restaurant.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing else to do.
But, to be on a wait, a lot of places you go.
But you're going to have somebody working. The hostess is going to be a 19-year-old that has no idea who
no clue most of the places I would imagine the Sabans go were by reservation. This makes it sound like Nick and Terry walked up to the counter, put his name on a list, and they handed him one of those things that light up when it's his turn. I just can't picture Nick Saban holding on to one of those light coasters.
Well, I think it shows
Terry, the table's ready.
Terry, our table's ready. You want another drink before we go to the table? Can we carry these to the table?
I think everything was so regulated in his life. Like, we got to do this at this time, this at this time. That's probably something a year ago he would have looked at Terry and been like, you didn't get us a reservation. But now that they're not really on a timeline, what does it matter?
He's like, where is Ellis Ponder?
Yes.
How pissed to be like, Saban, party of two?
I bet he loves that, though. Again, he's kind of anonymous. If you talk about this small restaurant where that guy recognized him.
Right.
But for the staff obviously didn't recognize him, because if I was a bartender or a server in that restaurant, I would have gone up and said, hey, look, you got the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
He could probably become a regular, and he's probably going to tip, I don't know, 40, 50%.
Got $1 or two.
Yeah. So you just picture him sitting there with his legs crossed, sitting on one of those cushion couches they have in the waiting areas of these restaurants. No socks, obviously.
Looking at the menu.
Yeah.
Ooh, crab cakes.
We're going to get an appetizer tonight? Terry, should we get dessert here, or you want to get dessert somewhere else? Take it back to the house.
Do you scan the menu on a QR code. I hate when they do this.
So much has changed since we used to go on dates.
I wonder how he orders, though. I wonder if he listens to her, or if because you really don't order yourself.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I do like everyone to order first, but Brown has made that such a point now. I try to beat him to the order so that he can't say I copied him.
I've seen takeout recently where you're like, hey, yeah, just give me that.
Well, I do like takeout, keeping it simple. I don't want to challenge the takeout industry too much. So I will say, just if there's two people ordering that and I'm the third person, I'm like, just give me that too. And that way there's no problem with that. It's just weird just imagining Nick Saban. I'd love to know what the restaurant was. I assume it wasn't Applebee's.
No, I bet it was a dive, probably seafood joint.
You don't think he was eating good in the neighborhood?
Hey, Terry, you want those baby back?
You know, one of my more fun, and you went with us. We went.
I'll have the steak. She'll have something of equal or lesser value. Love you, baby.
If you go to the beach for a week, I always want one rain day. And we're having a lot of rain days here. But I want that one rain day where I can go to a random oyster restaurant that is on the water and just sit there and drink almost stale draft beer and eat oysters all day and watch whatever game's on.
Yeah, and watch the waves come in the rain.
And we did this a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember, but we went to that random oyster bar. There was a group of us.
Yeah.
And it was raining that day.
Birthday trip to the coast, yeah.
I bet that was the kind of restaurant it was.
Yeah, probably so.
You can't see Terry getting in the passenger seat and Saban going, it's like Applebee's on a date night.
Or if it was that restaurant we were at that time, hey, Terry, do you have a single dollar bill? I want to sign my name and pin it to the wall here with everybody else's. All right, so there you go. Saban, party of two, sitting there waiting for the thing to buzz. Bama basketball gets the win, but that's not the only win for Alabama fans yesterday. We'll get into the Ryan Williams recommitment to Alabama and everything else going on. Eventually, Jim Harbaugh and Conor O'Gara joins us to start hour number 2. The show being brought to you in part by our friends at the Birmingham Squadron. BirminghamSquadron.com, BirminghamSquadron.com for all the details. Sunday is a fun day down at Legacy. 3 o'clock, January 28th, this Sunday, you get Birmingham Squadron Faith and Family Day with the Squadron. G League basketball, professional basketball, and you get special group experiences and some premium seating available right now if you go get your tickets at birminghamsquadron.com. But I always remind you, you can enjoy just walking right up and getting your tickets as well at Legacy Arena. birminghamsquadron.com. Faith and Family Night. Take the Sunday school class, the church group, the youth group, whatever, down to see professional basketball this Sunday at Legacy, 3 o'clock, Sunday, January 28th, birminghamsquadron.com. Nick Dunlap's a pro. That and Ryan Williams when we come back.
Everything Alabama, all the time. Subscribe and set alerts at Roll Tide Pods on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Fire damage to your home or business is something you never want to consider. Ryan Brown here from The Next Round. But in the horrible event it happens, Dry Tech is here to help. They respond quickly and will reply to you within 20 minutes when you call 205-637-0143. They're working for you, the customer, not the insurance company. They've got 5 crews ready to go 24/7. Don't call the insurance company first. Call Dry Tech. Just remember this website, mydrytech.com. That is mydrytech.com. When it comes to great clothing, I love comfortable clothing that I can also wear to the golf course or anywhere I go. I get that from Roback. Ryan Brown here for The Next Round. Whether it is the softest hoodies you'll ever find, they're great quarter zips, the polos, the pants, the crew necks, you can get them all at Roback.com, and we're helping you save. Your first order at Roback.com can get a 20% discount when you use code TNR20. That is Roback.com, code TNR20 for 20% off your initial order at Roback.com. Legacy Credit Union has the ultimate game changer for your finances. With Engaged Checking, you can earn 3% APY on balances up to $15,000. You heard correctly, 3% APY. But it's not just about scoring with high yields. With Engaged Checking, you can get paid up to 2 days early. That means your paycheck, Social Security, tax refund, you name it, you get it early. So stop sitting on the sidelines and get in the game with Engaged Checking. Sign up today at LegacyCreditUnion.com or visit any 9 Greater Birmingham area branches. APY is annual percentage yield. Terms and conditions may apply. See Credit Union for details. Federally insured by the NCUA.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour, 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 in Hoover with walk-ons.
Hey, Ryan Brown here from The Next Round. Do you want to help pay for my kids' college and look great while you're doing it? You need to go to The Next Round store. Everything from hats to short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, zip-up hoodies, and much more. And we're adding new things all the time. Why would you not want to see my kids get a great college education and look great out in the public while you're doing it? Get the gear we wear all the time on the show, and there's only one place to get it. NextRound.store. That's NextRound.store.
Bandwagon wants to remind you that baseball and softball season is right around the corner, and their shelves are stocked with everything your kid needs. From grip tape to gloves to custom uniforms, Bandwagon has all the gear, big and small, for those ballpark days. Until February 3rd, you spend $100 on baseball or softball equipment, and Bandwagon will give you $20 off. Just tell them The Next Round sent you. Visit locations in Cahaba Heights, Homewood, and Trustful, or go online to bandwagonsports.com. Next Round listeners, it's time to jump on the bandwagon.
Back with you on The Next Round. Brownie will jump in really quick as Forrester points out Nick Dunlap, who was honored at the game last night. The hard sellout, about 1,500 Auburn fans and the rest Alabama fans in Coleman Coliseum last night. They brought Nick Dunlap onto the court and recognized his amateur win on the PGA Tour. And now it's official this morning, Brown. He made one of the easiest or toughest decisions in his life.
It'd have to be the easiest one he's ever made. He's turned pro and will make his professional debut at the AT&T Pro-Am at Pebble Beach. This was a no-brainer, and I'm sure he wanted to somehow keep his commitment to Alabama. This will be huge for Alabama golf recruiting, though, and not that anybody cares about golf recruiting, but if you're J. Sewell, the Alabama golf coach, you're like, this is the guy we want. We want to be a PGA Tour breeding ground, right? But, I mean, the guy is in... Now he's in all 4 majors. He was already in 3 of the 4, but now he's in all 4. He's in all the signature events, no-cut, big purse events. He's got a 2-year exemption on the PGA Tour, which guys that have been out there forever fighting their tail off just to get that. This was a no-brainer. Good for him, man. Congrats. What a future he's got.
Yeah. 20 years old.
What a future he's got.
So are any of the live reports true? Do we know?
I mean, I think it's only going. They're trying to pick off anybody they can, Lance, and they've got the money to throw around.
Boy, we'd be easy targets, wouldn't we?
Yep. I have been told the offer has already been made. I'm not going to divulge the amount I was told. I don't know that that's factual, but I believe an offer has already been made to him.
Even if it was 25% of what he was offered, or what you, at least the number you've heard.
Yeah,
I think the guy's
it'd be hard to say no, but now.
But I was told last night at the game by someone of knowledge of the situation that his Adidas announcement, and he was decked, you said, in Adidas gear, head to toe.
Head to toe.
And he plays for a Nike school, but his Adidas announcement that they will make will be a pretty significant number.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not hurting for money, Lance. Either way he goes. One is guaranteed. One he would have to make over the years. This guy's got such a bright future.
I mean, he can. I mean, if he wants to tap out on that, I mean, we can figure out a sponsorship for the next round for him. A little revenue share on tour.
Yeah, didn't
rev share?
Didn't Dunlap used to make golf equipment?
They did. Dunlap. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm mispronouncing his name wrong.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
Up until just a few moments ago, Alabama, the state of Alabama, had 2 Alabama natives. They were the top 2 rated amateur players in the entire world, he and Gordon Sargent. So Junior golf in the state of Alabama has been incredible over the last 5 or 10 years. You're going to start seeing that show up on the PGA Tour. So it's a really a cool time.
Yeah, so,
good for him.
So he has gone pro there. We'll jump into the football news from last night after LT tells us about our buddy Dr. B, the person that changed his hair, as Alabama's Kalen DeBoer trying to rework his roster and got a big piece, at least he hopes, yesterday.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the clients that I have people reach out to me almost more than any other is Dr. B. People ask me, hey, is this legitimate? Absolutely it is. Again, when I first went to see Dr. Beckenstein, when I asked around, that was the name everybody said. Since that moment to now, my hair has more than doubled in thickness. Make the phone call that I made. Schedule a consultation today. See if this is right for you. 205-319-0316. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training, and genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B today. Tell him the next round sent you. 205-319-0316 or t3hair.net.
People are asking in the chat room if that means he now gets the money from last week. It does not. That money just fed down to the rest of the field. In fact, the guy that finished second got the first place prize, so he ought to feel great about losing.
Just doesn't get the trophy and or the world ranking points.
The FedEx Cup points, but no, he does not get that money back.
Yeah, but I mean, that guy knew, like, going into the playoff, I don't care if this guy makes or misses the putt, I'm getting the money anyway.
Exactly the money,
right. All right, to college football now. You guys are dying to talk college football. Ryan Williams flips back to Alabama. I guess it's not technically a flip back. He decommitted on the day Nick Saban retired. And then he's back in the Alabama fold yesterday. I will caution and say that it's still a few days until signing day. And until this guy is at a practice, I would say, let's wait until you see the ink dried on the piece of paper.
I would say him canceling his trip to Auburn, though, if you're an Alabama fan, you would probably have to feel about as secure about this as you have felt to date. Things can happen. What are we, the 25th today? He's not signing until the 9th. So, there's still some days that have to tick off the calendar, but it seems, Lance, what he has seen from this new staff, he has very much liked.
Yeah, and I've heard outside of a signature, this is about as airtight as you can get on a commitment.
Yeah. That is... But this guy has shown that he Hollywood's his nickname.
He likes the drama.
Doesn't mind to be part of the show.
No. He's embraced the drama over the last year or so. But
I'd be the worst recruit, man. I'm so indecisive on restaurants.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I wouldn't know where to go. But if he were still visiting Auburn, like if he had not canceled that visit, even with the commitment, the recommitment to Alabama, I would think he would still be a little bit nervous. Like, who knows what's going to happen when he gets down there.
That's right.
And what he sees, what he thinks, what he's offered, all those things, right? The fact that he is no longer going to Auburn, if he does indeed abide by that statement, which he made last night, that he is shutting his recruiting down, you'd have to feel pretty secure at that point.
And what this means now, he is the number 4 overall recruit. He is the 5-star wide receiver. 6'1", 164 pounds. The weight says a little bit, but Devontae Smith, I guess, was light in the cleats.
Like the Slim Reaper.
The Slim Reaper. But for Kalen DeBoer, Lance, how big was this for him right now?
Well, I think it was huge because when you get guys like Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor and Julian Sayin leaving the program, I think Alabama fans that were doubting Kalen DeBoer and what he would be able to do recruiting-wise when it came to the SEC, other fan bases saying the same thing, to be able to go get Parker Brailsford, who will be your first-team All-American center, to be able to bring in a Jeremy Bernard, who is going to be a really good receiver, probably right now, and you guys help me out, I would think Ryan Williams is going to be your number 1 as a true freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who would be in front of him right now. If he's what everybody says he's going to be.
Bernard, with his experience in some big games, will probably be your number 2.
I think Isaiah Bond would have been.
Yeah. And now I think the Isaiah Bond, it's like, okay, you got $700,000, $800,000 good riddance. I don't think it's nearly the deal that it was 10 days ago.
But those guys you named were all Washington guys, right? And I think Alabama fans are like, well, of course he can get the Washington guys. They had already believed in him once. I think Alabama fans wanted to see him get a big-time portal win, which you can't do right now, or a big-time recruiting win. And this is a big-time recruiting win.
Yeah, and this happened, and you guys talked about this a little bit yesterday. after he went and spent time with DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, specifically Ryan Grubb, on a dry erase board. Show me how you're going to use me.
Yeah.
And they showed him how they used the guys at Washington.
Yeah, and look, you look at 3 guys that over the last 2 years have had 1,000-yard seasons, and you've got a guy in Adunze that is going to be a top 10 pick. I don't really think it was a hard sell. And you know, no disrespect to Auburn, but when is the last time Auburn's had a 1,000-yard receiver? I know it's a different offense with Hugh Freeze,
right?
But I'm selling that against them. I'm selling Julio Jones. I'm selling Amari Cooper. I'm selling Devontae Smith.
But if I'm Freeze, I come back and I sell A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf and say those are the guys I coached Ole Miss. That's the type of receiver I'm going to have, because I agree Auburn does not have a great history of 1,000-yard receivers. I think Ronnie Daniels is still the last one.
And that was the 90s,
only
right?
But again, I showed the correlation of national championships with great receivers. And look, we haven't had that great receiver over the last couple of years. You're going to be that next guy. You're going to get us back to winning national championships.
Well, that exactly was his video and/or release was the stars, the Hollywood stars, and it had Julio Jones and all the names of the receivers on the mock Hollywood stars. And then the last one was Next Man Up, and it was him sitting there, and that was his announcement, his unannouncement. You know, a video that he shot when he was in Tuscaloosa, because the student section had the stars from that video, that picture holding him up in the section last night.
Look, I think every other fan base outside of Alabama was loving seeing Alabama getting picked apart. But look, this happens all the time. I got a text from a good buddy that was boarding a flight in Memphis, and they were on the tarmac. And he said, I've got these 3 guys. He was going from Memphis to Denver, and there were 3 Washington players on the flight with him. And he started talking to them, and these guys are still on the roster, but they had just met with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And they were like, the money's too much. We're going to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And so, these are Washington guys right now. So Washington is getting ravaged right now.
They really are, and there's very little they do about it. You have said this is the way you would operate. Do you think this was at all orchestrated?
This is the way I would operate if I was
a coach,
the rival against my rivals. Yes, I would operate this way. That's why I said yesterday that, don't buy into the Alabama recommitment for Ryan Williams. If I was Hugh Freeze, I'd be like, the 11th hour, you flip to me. You flip to me, and it makes it look like a bigger win.
So you don't think this was orchestrated by Alabama?
I don't think it was. Or
by Ryan Williams' camp, or by
I don't think it was.
I don't think you can roll that dice if you're the staff right now.
I don't think it was, but I will tell you this. Doesn't it feel bigger right now than if he'd have just kept his commitment to Alabama?
It does, because it says this guy was committed to Nick Saban, and anybody in the country would take him, and
he's honoring his commitment.
He has seen no. I'm saying the way he did it, the way this went down, people would look at it and say, all right, well, this kid was just committed to Nick Saban. He decommitted within moments of Nick Saban's retirement being leaked.
Right.
And he's gotten a chance to talk to Ryan Grubb and talk to Kalen DeBoer, and buddy, does he like what he sees. It only took him 2 weeks or less than a week to recommit back to this guy.
And I'm back in.
So if you did orchestrate it, if this were a big ruse, it would be a pretty good PR deal for Kalen DeBoer. I think you see it has been a good PR deal for Kalen DeBoer.
It's much bigger now than when he originally committed with them.
It seems like you've got so much to worry about when Saban retires and you're hiring a coach that this would actually get worked out that way.
It seems like Ryan Williams was never a commit back in the day. This is like a completely fresh win.
To your point, he did not sign on National Signing Day, which opened up the belief he could go to Auburn, and then he decommitted his verbal on the Saban retirement day. Now he's back at Alabama, verbal, nothing official yet. Here's a couple of students pregame basketball last night as the news breaks on Ryan Williams. 2 questions here from 2 students, and they're simple questions, but listen to their reaction. Pretty level-headed reaction to these guys.
Big news tonight. 5-star wide receiver Ryan Williams is back in Alabama's camp. Give me a reaction.
I love it because it really shows that Kalen DeBoer can go out there and recruit and keep our recruits, and it's huge because the problem with us was tradition is going to stay here, but can we recruit? Can we recruit with a new coach that's not Nick Saban? And I think this proves that he can.
I was wondering, though, when he decommitted on the day Saban retired, was there any hard feeling?
Not at all. It's the smart thing to do when you're a kid at that stage of that caliber player. There's a lot of unknown in that situation. Just getting his name in the portal, having his options open, but I'm so glad he came back. It feels so good to call him an Alabama football player.
So do you think he'll stick with it this time all the way to signing day?
I sure hope so. I think he's a big key part of what we're working on here, and Kalen DeBoer, so we're really excited.
Yep. So confidence in his coaching staff that they can get it done?
Huge. I mean, every single hire he makes, I love every single one of them, especially the one from South Alabama, the defense coordinator, because we want to keep the defense still going. But he brought almost his entire offensive staff from Washington, and that offense was elite, and I think he will bring that to here as well.
Yeah, that guy's a lead architect on the next Mall of America. His colleagues are going to bounce back and say, you were in overalls.
Candy stripe overalls.
Those overalls, they come in a variety of colors across the country. I've seen them pop up more and more in the last 3 or 4 years. So somebody's making a killing.
They come in, they're all tacky though, right?
Tennessee fans wear them like crazy if you go to a game at Neyland. And I guess Thompson Bowling as well. So didn't your boy Willie have a pair on too?
He did have I don't know if it's exactly the same pair. I never lost eye contact with Willie in my conversation.
So I didn't know about this Willie kid until this week. Like I've never heard anything.
I've seen him on TikTok for a long time.
Has he fallen out of a tree?
I don't know, Lance.
And hit his head extremely hard.
He's a very nice man. Very nice man there, I think, after talking to him for a little bit last night. Quick break here. When we come back, our friends at Hemp bringing you the show. We'll talk about Jim Harbaugh to the L.A. Chargers, what that means, and then Conor O'Gara with everything going on in college football.
205-229-2090. Hard to stop a train. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Make sure your unit is ready to keep up with this changing weather. I had to make the call for my mom the other day. Thermostat went out. Called Andrew. The guys were out there immediately. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
Everything Next Round is on demand now in the podcast section at nextroundlive.com.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour. 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 and Hoover with walk-ons. Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239 Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready for a winning season in your finances? Legacy Credit Union is bringing you a slam dunk deal on their credit cards. Apply for their balance transfer and pay 0 balance transfer fees. That's right, there is no balance transfer fees, and they're offering a jaw-dropping 2.99% APR for the first 6 months. Whether you're looking to clear the cord of those holiday expenses or just wanting to streamline your finances, apply online today, LegacyCreditUnion.com. Annual percentage rate, terms and conditions may apply. See Credit Union for details. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show.
Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Back with you on the next round. Jim Harbaugh's off to the Chargers. We'll talk what it means for Michigan in just a second. ACC's full schedule is out. Slow leak the first 2 days. It's totally out. You can check that out online. We may get to that at some point in the show today. And later on, Rockstar has 4 downs. One addition to our list today, Conor O'Gara at the top of the hour, Dan Orlovsky on the NFL championship games coming up this weekend. He joins us in the final hour at 11 Central, and Andy Kennedy joins the show at 11:45 to talk about the Bartow Classic coming up on Sunday. I want to talk to you about precision sports medicine and orthopedics right here in Central Alabama. Remember that number, 205-512-3885, 512-3885, and the website, precisionsportsortho.com/2024. You tweaked your shoulder in a pickup game, maybe moving decorations around after Christmas or before Christmas, injured an elbow, playing pickleball, whatever may happen in your life, they will take care of you. Let 2024 be the year precision sports medicine and orthopedics get you back on track. Orthopedic care, better together. Find your provider today, 205-512-3885, 512-3885, or precisionsportsortho.com/2024. Finally, Jim Harbaugh is back in the NFL. He's been trying to get there for a long, long time. 9 years at Michigan. Before we talk about the Chargers side of this, for Michigan, I'm told by state law they've got to wait 7 days before they can announce the new coach. But I don't expect this to be a portal situation like what we saw at Alabama. I think it's going to be Sherrone Moore. I think they will do it quickly. I think everybody on the roster will know that. They'll keep as much of the staff as possible together. Jesse Minter likely going with Harbaugh to the Chargers. I think this is a good move for Michigan just to go Sherrone Moore.
Well, you say that they're going to keep this roster intact, Brown, but, I mean, these guys now have opportunities to leverage their own team and go out and get more money. So there are going to be people leaving.
Not immediately, though. It's going to be harder than it was in the Alabama situation.
After spring practice.
Yeah, no. That's the spring. Whoever the coach is, be it Sherrone Moore or Brian Kelly or any other coach you could name in that situation, will have a better shot against the portal than Kalen DeBoer did, because while they will still have the 30-day window, classes have already started at Michigan, so they've already started classes there. Most places, enrollment has ended. So now listen, I don't know who the most talented player left on that roster is right
one
now.
Cornerback and 2 defensive tackles that could play anywhere in the country, I think.
I am sure Ohio State or any other school would break their neck to get those people in class. I don't think that would be a huge issue, but it really doesn't benefit you a ton to jump in the portal right now. The reason Alabama players fled so quickly is they could still enroll at Texas or Florida State or Ohio State and start classes and be eligible for spring practice. So it made sense for them. It would make a ton of sense for the Michigan players.
And cash a check.
And cash a check in the process, yes. But you're right, Lance.
I'd put it at 5.5.
5.5 departures.
You can announce it right now. Any of them could announce it and then stay in school at Michigan. Now, Michigan also reserves the right to end their student aid, which you'd be an idiot to do that if you want to keep them. But now, to your point, they've got the leverage for either Sherrone Moore or the new coach to say, no, we don't want to lose you. What's it going to take to keep you?
Yeah, I just think
they may not leave.
You're seeing what some of these other players are being able to make in the portal. And, a lot of guys, that's what it's all about. It's about what can I make?
But boy, the players are all in on Sherrone Moore.
He's 4-0. Brent, he beat the toughest part of the regular season schedule. He Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. He was the head coach.
No, you're absolutely right. He did coach against the toughest part of the schedule they played. I don't. That is not. If you're hiring him based on that, that's crazy. That'd be one of the dumbest hires you've ever made.
But he was the guy that Jim Harbaugh turned to and said, "You lead the team."
Yeah. But again, if you're hiring him simply based on that, this is one of the dumbest hires in college football history. I hope if Michigan hires him, it's based on way more than the fact that he was the interim coach in 3 games at the end of the season. I hope it's built on way more than that, and I assume it is. I didn't know who Sherrone Moore was until he took over.
I still don't. You talk about this 7-day window. I still think if Trace Armstrong makes a call to Ward Manuel and says, my guy wants this job, it ain't Sherrone Moore. You got to hire Brian Kelly over Moore.
Well, Sherrone Moore's 37, Brian Kelly's 61. I don't know if that makes a difference to you.
Well, I mean, if one's a proven football coach, head football coach, which Brian Kelly is, and one is not, age becomes less of a factor for me.
Yeah, I just want 10 years out of Kelly. I mean, what did you get at Michigan under Harbaugh? You got 9 years?
9 years.
9 years?
9 years.
Yeah.
Leopold, Kleiman, Clausen, Rule, and Fickle are other names they have looked at in the past when he has flirted, according to Adam Rittenberg.
Well, Leopold would excite me.
Yeah.
Again,
Kleiman too.
If you're the outside looking in, you say that about Leopold, but if you're a Michigan fan, you just hired the coach from Kansas. It is hard to get excited about that. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think he's a very good football coach. But I hope if Michigan makes the Strome more higher, and I think it is based on more than the fact that he won a few games as an interim coach, basically, an acting coach, whatever you call him. I would like to think it's based on way more than that, and I do think it is. The players are the ones you can never listen to in these situations.
That's right.
But they are 100% behind Sherrone Moore. They were tweeting about it last night. Don't even have to do a coaching search. Our coach is on the staff already.
And I have not looked at it, but I saw a headline, heavy betting favorite to get the job is Sherrone Moore.
You have to be.
Yeah, I mean,
Heavy
I
betting
would
favorite.
say that too, because I think the only reason he doesn't is if one of these other really, really good coaches, their representation reaches out and says, hey, we're interested.
Harbaugh and Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan, never got along. There are some people that said they didn't even talk at times during their time together there.
Doesn't Harbaugh seem like one of those guys you get on the other side of him, it's never going to get fixed?
Yep, absolutely.
And so his agents, Jim Harbaugh's agents, have thrown Ward Manuel under the bus here. In the Detroit newspaper last night online, and if they print them this morning at all the newsstands, if not still online this morning and forever, they said not until the 11th hour, and it was too late then, they finally agreed to some language in the contract that we absolutely needed. I assume they were talking the immunity
you'd have
clause.
to think, yeah.
But Ward Manuel refused. The agent tells the Detroit Free Press or whatever it is, they would never agree to language we needed in the contract until we told them we were leaving. Then they said we would do it, and it was too late then. That basically Ward Manuel was a roadblock every time we tried to get this contract done over the last few months.
Yeah, but this guy was going to the NFL. I think even if they had that language in there, he's going to the NFL. I mean, the guy had been going for a week and a half.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think this was just the agents and
it's
Harbaugh.
PR.
Boom.
Oh, there's no doubt.
With the language, but if this never happens, if there's never an NCAA investigation, I don't think he ever goes.
And keep in mind, this is Harbaugh's school, Jim. So you don't want to look like you just crumbled your school up and threw it away for an NFL job. He can always come back and say, I mean, you go back and look at what we said then.
Yeah, we kneecapped Ward Manuel is what
That's
they did.
right. Yep.
So I can still be a good Michigan man.
That's
Ward
right.
Manuel probably is not the AD by 2025 when it's all said and done. Conor O'Gara on the reaction to Harbaugh, and then Ryan Williams back in the Alabama fold. We'll talk about post Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer. We'll talk quarterbacks, everything with Conor O'Gara Saturday down south when we come back. Show being brought to you by Storm Restoration Roofing. Boy, the rain we had yesterday. Little T and I drove to Tuscaloosa in a monsoon down there yesterday. It's monsoon season here in Alabama. I don't know if you know that. Every January, it seems like. If you don't know your roof's leaking right now, you still need to get Greg up on there on that roof and check it out. 205-542-3531. You don't know where water's leaking in. Sometimes it'll be weeks or months before it actually makes it down through the woodwork up top into an area where you'll finally see it. Find out right now what's happening on your roof with a free no-cost roof inspection and no obligation. Greg from Pell City, 205-542-3531. Also does roof replacement, storm damage, and everything. You can look him up on Facebook, too. Greg from Pell City, Storm Restoration Roofing.
Follow Rockstar on Twitter at RockstarBHM.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Fire damage to your home or business is something you never want to consider. Ryan Brown here from The Next Round. But in the horrible event it happens, Dry Tech is here to help. They respond quickly and will reply to you within 20 minutes when you call 205-637-0143. They're working for you, the customer, not the insurance company. They've got 5 crews ready to go 24/7. Don't call the insurance company first. Call Dry Tech. Just remember this website, mydrytech.com. That is mydrytech.com.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Start your day online at nextroundlive.com. Get all the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. And it's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie-cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness.
You want to look great while supporting your favorite show? You know the place to go is the official Next Round store at nextround.store. Yes, there are .store domains, and we have one. From shirts to hoodies to hats and all kinds of fun stuff, you can rep the Next Round anywhere you go. At the beach, Next Round hats to block out that sun. Up north in the winter, get you a comfy Next Round hoodie. Just need something to put your $20 beer in at a game? Get you a Next Round koozie and throw that thing in your pocket. You never know what stuff Jim's going to make me put in there next. Check it out. It's the Next Round store at nextround.store.
Legacy Credit Union has the ultimate game changer for your finances. With Engaged Checking, you can earn 3% APY on balances up to $15,000. You heard correctly, 3% APY. But it's not just about scoring with high yields. With Engaged Checking, you can get paid up to 2 days early. That means your paycheck, Social Security, tax refund, you name it, you get it early. So stop sitting on the sidelines and get in the game with Engaged Checking. Sign up today at legacycreditunion.com or visit any 9 Greater Birmingham area branches. APY is annual percentage yield. Terms and conditions may apply. See Credit Union for details. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Well, I'm just dying to talk about the ACC full schedule, but I guess there's other things going on in college football we will get to Conor O'Gara.
Who's the Cuse getting week 3?
I got a feeling that Cal is going to
make some noise.
Yeah, they're going to shock the world.
They're going to walk through this conference in year one?
Yeah, I can't wait to watch a replay of the band is on the field on the ACC network this summer.
Conor O'Gara is with us Saturday down south at CJ O'Gara.
Because I sure as hell never saw it on the Pac-12 network, that replay.
At least you'll get to see him on the network. What is up, Conor? How are you today?
I'm doing well. I've already got my DVR ready to go for Wake Forest, NC State.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be locked in to that one.
Yes.
Maybe as Dunaway is representing Georgia Tech. We got Georgia Tech and who's a meaningless Georgia Tech opponent that they could Syracuse. Yeah, that's a good one. Syracuse,
or SMU.
Yeah,
right.
No. SMU, just traditional ACC powers we're talking about.
That's right. So the biggest story in college football currently is the departure of Jim Harbaugh. I don't think it is a surprise, Conor, to anyone who has followed this. It has been discussed basically all season long, and for the last week and a half, he was at the Right to Life March. Then he went to his brother's game. Then he was out interviewing with both the Falcons and the Chargers, while the rest of the college football world was recruiting. I mean, it was pretty obvious he had already checked out.
Yeah, look. It would have been great if he had come back. It truly would have. And if we as college football fans just got to say, guy, what's your deal? What are you doing? Why do you continue to have this flirtation with the NFL? It's because he is a pro coach. That's what this comes down to. He is a pro coach that saw an opportunity at his alma mater and wanted to do right by it. And he did. He won a championship. I think coaches often get to the podium and they talk about, we want to win championships here. That's the goal. The goal is win championship, singular. If you win a championship, even if you bring on an NCAA storm like Jim Harbaugh certainly has, you've accomplished your goal. And fans will forever be grateful for you if you go out that way. And that's why he essentially got to treat this like a college professor with tenure. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch the way that this all played out, how inevitable it felt. But yeah, I'll pretend as a Bears fan that I'm not bitter that Jim Harbaugh is going to the Chargers, and the Bears never even had any interest in him.
Here's the thing, though, Connor. As successful as he was with San Francisco, in college football, the most powerful man, typically not only on campus but in state, is the head football coach of a program like Michigan. But then you start involving egos of an owner, of a general manager. You got a lot you're dealing with. And Trent Baalke was a guy that he couldn't see eye to eye with at San Francisco. And there were reports after that final season, they were going to trade Harbaugh away, that the locker room was starting to get a little away from Harbaugh. So I do find it interesting with how quirky he is going back to the NFL, because it did work on the field, but then when it started to not work on the field, you had kind of a situation with Harbaugh. And he's one of those personalities, seems like he'd be really difficult to get along with.
Seems like he would be. He's just an odd duck. I mean, once you can wrap your head around that, it makes everything else seem a little bit more palatable, and you could watch him in a press conference and go, yeah, he's just an odd dude in every way, shape, or form. He goes to the beat of his own drum, and he's going to do that with the Chargers, a desperate franchise. I mean, that's what this comes down to. He's going to be given the keys to the car there, and they are a franchise that is embarrassing as there is in the NFL. When you consider that going to their games, you hear the road crowd more than you do the home crowd. I mean, Harbaugh is trying to change a culture, and it's on to the next thing. I think so often we look at coaches through this lens of, well, where can you have success, and where could you carve out a role for yourself for 20 years? And in reality, not all of them think like that. And so I think he felt, my job here is done. I'd like to get back to perhaps pursuing a Super Bowl, and that's what he's going to try and do in LA. And if he can win a Super Bowl, he'll have accomplished something that so few coaches in the history of this sport can actually say that they've done, by winning a national championship and winning a Super Bowl. I don't even know what that list is. It's virtually non-existent as far as I'm concerned.
Jimmy Johnson. I think that may be it, right?
The only coach to win a Super
Bowl.
Yeah. Super Bowl and a college football national championship.
Pete Carroll.
Barry Switzer.
Pete Carroll.
Barry Switzer.
Yeah, there's three
Pete
right
Carroll,
there.
all right.
So 3?
Yeah. It's a short
that's
list.
a good list.
Yeah. Short list, but it's a good list. Yeah, absolutely.
Barry Switzer's the one everybody forgets.
Yeah. Because he won it with Jimmy's players.
Well, he did.
I always hate that saying. Speaking of players, at Michigan, I think Alabama fans, Washington fans are sitting here going, let's go. Let's see what everybody in Michigan, let's see them hit the portal. Everybody raid their roster. Brown made a point earlier, likely not going to happen. And probably one part of the reason why is Sherrone Moore likely going to be the coach, huh?
That's what it appears. And this 7-day rule with a state employee about having that job open for 7 days, it's going to be a little bit wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I'm sure they're having those conversations with players about what the plan is in place. If those meetings are taking place, I would not be surprised at all. But what's to stop someone from saying, hey, Mason Graham, here's $3 million. Come play defensive tackle for us. We saw how great you were for this national championship team. Let's just float it out there. There's nothing stopping teams from doing that, because if the NCAA isn't going to actually conduct a tampering investigation, then why wouldn't you do something like that? As Alabama saw, there's just no guarantee that those guys are going to stay on your roster. Obviously, if you make an internal hire, you feel better about that. But there are things that could become available, and if Michigan's roster gets picked apart through this, it would be fascinating, because it would show you that you can really do nothing as an administration to prevent that from happening. But I do think they will have a much better chance of keeping their core intact than Michigan or than Alabama and Washington did.
Well, it's not tampering, Connor. If, say, Kalen DeBoer comes on our show and says, listen, let's just say in the NIL world, guys, that we're living in, if we wanted to get a defensive lineman off of a national championship team one year, we'd probably have to pay $2 to $3 million for that guy. And you say that, and then you floated it out there. That's not tampering. That's just that's good business sense. Yeah. And by the way, we are open. We are open for Kalen DeBoer to come on the show to do that if he'd like to do that.
Conor O'Gara is with us Saturday Down South. At CJ O'Gara on Twitter is where you follow him. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Where do you think a Sherrone Moore-led Michigan team falls into this upcoming season's Big Ten? And it's hard to know. I mean, the spring portal could change a lot of things. I get that. But as we stand right now, I mean, where do they fall?
I think it's closer to 3. I think it's closer to 3 because I love that Oregon roster that Dan Lanning has put together. And I think you have to put them in the conversation with Ohio State. And what Ohio State has done in these 3 weeks since that just ugly Cotton Bowl loss to Mizzou, it has totally changed the trajectory of their 2024 season. And maybe it's changed the trajectory of their entire 2020s decade. I mean, that's what we could be talking about with the pressure on Ryan Day, obviously with the new boss in there and Ross Bjork coming over from Texas A&M. All eyes are on the Buckeyes. But if Oregon isn't part of that conversation, I'd be surprised. I think that they have the roster that can compete in the Big Ten with the way that Dan Lanning has been able to develop in the trenches, the offensive mind that they brought in with Will Stein, the job that he did with Bo Nix last year. You would expect Dylan Gabriel to have a lot of success as well, and with those pass catchers that they have returning. So yeah, I think they're probably third in that conversation. And look, Michigan's floor has been a lot lower than that. So third in this expanded version of the Big Ten isn't exactly the worst place to be.
You know, just 2 weeks ago, we saw 14-0 Michigan against 14-0 Washington. But I'd be really surprised if either one of those teams is in a 12-team playoff next year. You?
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. It's really hard. Because think about this, too. The number that teams are going to have to get to is 10. That's going to be the key thing to remember. Get to 10 wins. If you get to 10 wins, you're going to have a chance, whether you're in a conference championship game or you're not. That's where the conversation is really going to start for a lot of these teams. It's not. There will probably be 9-3 teams that get in, but it's going to be about getting to 10. And if you tell me today, yeah, like, you know, Michigan, you look at their schedule, they got to host Texas early in the season. They're going to have a lot of turnover in the trenches. What's it going to look like against that loaded Texas offensive line with Quinn Ewers coming back, all the turnover that they've had at pass catcher? Like, there are a lot of different things you could look at with that Michigan schedule and say, man, that path to 10 is tough. It's really tough. And Washington, obviously the same thing. Like, even if DeBoer had stayed, it would have been a really difficult path to get to that 10 wins, knowing how difficult this schedule is going to be. And obviously the turnover since he went to Alabama is certainly part of it, but they were going to have a ton of turnover anyway. So yeah, I agree with you. I will probably not have those two teams in a 12-team playoff when I do that initial projection.
This is only an opinion question to you. There's no right answer to this. But does Kirby Smart eventually get bored with college football? I mean, he's got the best roster in the game now. He's a two-time national champion winner now, and it's just him, Dabo, and Mack. They're the only guys that are active that have ever won a national championship. It's almost like Kirby is the adult sitting at the kids' table now with Saban and Harbaugh out of the league.
But he has 7. He has the race for 7. And I wonder if he gets to 4 and he says, This is something I feel like I can do, and I feel like I have established the foundation. I've adapted to this new world of college football, and I now feel like I have a position to get to 7 and be considered arguably the greatest coach of all time. Now, I would push back on that because I think going 1-5 against Nick Saban has to be part of that conversation. It just does. But that's going to be a great motivator for Kirby Smart. How can it not? I mean, as much as we can point to all the different things with the year-round calendar and how it impacts coaches in this day and age and how different it is than even 10 years ago, I still think that can be the ultimate motivator for Kirby. And does he get 1 or 2 more titles during the 2020s? Does he get even 3 more titles in the 2020s? That's going to be the question that could determine whether or not he feels like this is something that's realistic. But I do think that there is always going to be that question of like, hey, what do I have left to show? And maybe he's sitting there at 4 going, man, I'm not going to win 3 more of these things. I'm just going to call it a day. And this thing has kind of burnt me out. But yeah, the next chapter in Kirby's legacy is going to be a super, super interesting
But this path to the NFL for college coaches, it has now, I think, kind of become a one-way street. I do not know how, if you're a college program, you hire a successful NFL head coach or a successful NFL coach, period, anymore. Because their season doesn't end until the first week of January. I mean, like, even Saban retired after the national championship game had Alabama even wanted to hire DeMeco Ryans. It would have been a 2-week process. I don't know who would have been left on the roster at that point.
It's true. Yeah. And I think the calendar is going to change. I do. I think that there's going to be some sort of adjustment with the early signing period. There just has to be. I mean, it's supposed to be, the same week that the college football playoff starts next year, which doesn't make any real sense at all. You're right. The timing of it is certainly different than when Harbaugh was coming over from the Niners to Michigan and the way that was all announced and whatnot. Maybe we'll get a Bobby Petrino Falcons situation. That could be in the cards. Just leave a little note card for the fellas.
I said successful NFL head coach. That's how Bobby Petrino doesn't count.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, but like the Dan Campbell thing with the Lions, that for like 5 minutes, the A&M conversations, those were being had. Like, would he have left the Lions in the middle of a season like that? No, I mean, there's no way. But yeah, the timing is certainly awkward. It feels like it's going to have to be someone who's been maybe out of coaching for a year or something like that, and it would line up a little bit better to be able to recruit a class, a staff, a roster, the whole deal.
You ranked the SEC quarterbacks the other day 1 to 16. 2 questions here. One, personnel around the quarterback. How much do you factor in when you do your power rankings? For instance, Jalen Milroe, got to see him last night. Ryan Williams recommits to Alabama, 5-star receiver. Does that increase your thoughts on what Milroe can do this year? And on the flip side, you had Peyton Thorne at Auburn, 14th, and I understand what we've seen on tape. But now he's got 2 elite receivers coming in, so he's going to have better talent to throw to. Do you factor in talent around those guys in your rankings?
I try not to. I try and just keep it, and it's nearly impossible. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I try and just limit it to who would I want to lead my team tomorrow. Try and keep it as simple as that. If I were building my own roster, if I had my own offensive coordinator doing this, and this, I try and just focus on who's the guy I would want leading my team. In the SEC, my number one guy would be Carson Beck. And I realize there are Alabama fans will say, hey, Jalen Milroe beat Carson Beck. I fully understand that. There's also the fact that Quinn Ewers beat Jalen Milroe. Yes, a different version of Jalen Milroe, but it's tough to kind of eliminate some of those things when I'm just trying to focus on, okay, who do I think just gives you the best chance to be able to win football games? And I think Carson Beck right now is at the top of my list. It's not some great margin. I definitely thought about it. I think 1 through 3 is a really interesting conversation. How about the fact that we have 5 returning quarterbacks in the SEC who started in a New Year's Six bowl game? And I mean, that is just unprecedented to have that type of established quarterback, because I'm not even getting into the Jackson Dart, Brady Cook conversation just yet. It feels like those 3 with Milroe, Beck, and Ewers, that's kind of where the conversation starts. And I try and not look at the pieces around as much, but obviously it certainly has shaped where they're at right now.
Okay, Connor, not that you need content ideas, but we were throwing this around yesterday. With Harbaugh and Saban out now, it's hard to find 5 elite college football coaches. And kind of went through this because I said, even before DeBoer was hired at Alabama, I felt like what he has accomplished in a couple of years, I would put him in the top 5 current active college football coaches right now. People thought I was insane. More people thought I was insane when he was hired by Alabama, whatever. But it is really difficult. It starts with Kirby, but then it gets cloudy. I mean, can you find 5 elite coaches right now in college football?
Yeah, I think most of them are in the SEC. I do. It's Kirby's one. He is. And I'm actually doing my SEC coach rankings for Saturday Down South on Sunday, so I'll have the full list then.
Oh, is it Brian Kelly or Kalen DeBoer at 2? It's got to be one of those 2 guys.
Or is it Sark? Or is it Sark?
It ain't Sark. Sark ain't won a big game.
Don't give it away. I can't wait till Sunday. But is it Sark?
It's not Sark. It's not Sark. But I have Sark probably higher than where some people think. I have Kelly at 2 and I have DeBoer at 3. And I agree with you, Lance. Like I think DeBoer is top 5 coach in the sport right now. And if you push back on that and you say, well, you don't know what you're talking about, do your own list. As you mentioned, it gets real murky in a hurry. And I'm actually doing something for the Saturday Down South podcast that we're recording today, which will come out tomorrow, where I'm just doing like the haters ranking of SEC coaches. Like I'm just going through my rankings of SEC coaches and then just providing the demerits to each coach, because you can find them. They're all over the place. I can find them for Kirby. Kirby's only won 1 conference championship in the last 6 years. You mean to tell me that's the best guy on the face of the earth? Come on, what are we talking about here? But no, in all seriousness, like it gets murky in a hurry because of the fact that we've only got 3 active coaches in the sport who have won a national championship. And 2 of them, Mac Brown, Dabo Swinney, you're kind of looking at going like, I think their best days are behind them. So this is a very difficult conversation, in my opinion, to be able to have. But I put Brian Kelly at that number 2 spot. I would probably put him at number 2 nationally as well, because he's ahead of a guy like Brian Day, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that second tier after Kirby is kind of all over the place, and it's just based on personal preference.
Well, and that's why, Sherrone Moore is probably going to be the guy. But I've said if Ward Manuel gets a call from Trace Armstrong and says Brian Kelly wants the job, you've got to hire Brian Kelly if you're Michigan.
Why do we think Brian Kelly would want to go to Michigan?
I agree with that, but I'm just saying if he did for whatever reason, you'd hire him, right?
Yeah. Oh, in a heartbeat. No doubt about it. But if Brian Kelly leaves for Michigan, what was the point of going to LSU? Why didn't you just stay at Notre Dame? That to me, and I get it. He spent 20 years there. He was at Grand Valley State. He was at Central Michigan. Still, you have so many more limiting factors at Michigan than you do at LSU. Like, you're at LSU where you just had as I would call a basura defense, a trash defense. And what did you do? You went out and you poached a defensive coordinator from a New Year's Six bowl team and made him the highest paid assistant in the sport. Oh, your defensive line wasn't particularly good this year? No big deal. Just go to Texas and take the strength of their team and the coach that was able to develop the strength of that team in Bo Davis, bring him on as an assistant. You can do these things at LSU. You can sign top 5 classes at LSU. You can't do that at Michigan. That's not what they do. It took until year 9 for Jim Harbaugh to finally have this program that could compete for a national championship. And maybe last year's could as well. But to me, like, you have so many more championship pieces in place at LSU with the program that's had 3 national championship coaches in the 21st century, including a certain Ed Ogeron, and not Michigan, the program that just won its first outright title since the Harry Truman administration.
I will tell you, I'll be praying for you this week. LT did a story yesterday about 1 trillion cicadas that will come out from underground this spring. The same thing will happen to you with your buddy Chris Marlar now that Alabama has gotten Ryan Williams back and they won a basketball game. So it's been a rough year for him, but he'll be coming out from underground as his Alabama fandom will hit a new level this week. And I know you'll have to spend a lot of time with him.
I don't mess with cicadas, man. I don't. Those things, look, I don't really get them as much down here in Orlando, but back in the Midwest, I heard plenty of cicada, and those suckers, when they get going, when it's cicada season, it is deafening. And to me, that is just not anything that I want a part of at all in my life.
Just like Vern Funquist.
No. Marlar and cicadas are very, very different for me. Not the same thing at all, but rising, and showing up like, hey, everything's going to be fine. I mean, I guess I don't get into the psyche of cicadas in the way that Marlar and I are able to.
For those that could not graduate Jacksonville State because of Spanish, basura is Spanish for trash or refuse. He is Conor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, educating us. Welcome. Thank you, Conor. You're welcome, Conor, for joining us. You're welcome. I know you want to thank us, but I'll just go ahead and say you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're welcome to you guys as well.
Yes. Was that confusing? Was that a confusing way to end the interview?
It's like Hawaii. Thank you means hello and goodbye.
Yes, I blacked out. I don't know what happened. Conor is with Saturday Down South at CJ O'Gara on Twitter.
And the show being brought to you by our friends at Way to Wellness. Leslie and her board-certified team, no cookie-cutter plan, everything designed for you. A program overseen by board-certified professionals. Just go to the website, planforme.com, and tell them, if you want to, say it's worked at times for Jim when Jim stays on his plan. You see me at the Saban statue yesterday, and I always try to tell Little T not to shoot profiles of me. Not a good look right now. I've got to get working in that gym at some point tomorrow, but not today, but some point tomorrow. And then the eating habits that Leslie and her board-certified team will teach me will help me slim down for a shirtless summer over at LT's Pool. No contracts, no sign-up fees, and you get a free consultation. Jumpstart your weight loss journey in 2024 by going to the website of planforme.com and tell them that you heard about them on the next round. It'll help you out a lot. Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Also, when we come back, let's talk more a little bit about what LT is talking about those top 5 coaches, where they are, because Jim Harbaugh has exited. I assume Harbaugh was one of our top 5 coaches. There is a vacuum now in college sports that continues to happen. And we'll also talk about the NFL playoffs. Rockstar's got 4 downs. Orlovsky still to come on the show. All that coming up on the show that's brought to you by our friends at Redmont.
Yeah, and by the way, NFL playoffs, can't wait to get that. I brought up the point, the NFL wants Kansas City to win.
That's right.
When you look at their head official that they named yesterday, it is fact.
Is he Taylor Swift's uncle?
And I have been shadow banned, and I didn't know what shadow banned was.
Well, tell us about this on the other side here. I don't know what shadow band is.
I had to reach out to Lunsford to find out what shadow band was.
Wow. Let me know what that is. Tell us about Redmont, and when we come back, I will learn what a shadow band is. It's not where I put a good picture in a box, and that's called shadow box. Shadow box.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll let Lunsford explain what shadow band is, and then I will get to what happened yesterday. But gluten-free, 8 times distilled, locally owned and operated refrigerated product. You're going to absolutely love it. Charles Barkley, one of the faces behind it. If you're at a local restaurant or bar, ask for it by name. If they don't have it, tell them to get it. But get into your local package store, including the Beverage Place, Pink Package, ABC stores. Ask for it by name. It is Redmont Vodka.
Follow Scott Forrester on Twitter at Scott Forrester TV.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping on some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And in our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, LT takes off the gloves for in-depth conversations with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmont Vodka. Find these podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. I mean, where else are the scenic views as good as your view of the game? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about my friends at Michelson Laser Vision, located conveniently UAB Highlands. Almost 20 years ago, I went in for the procedure. Only took 12 minutes for both eyes. When I went in, I had 2200 vision. I was legally blind. Now I have 20/15 vision, still 19 years later. Make the call today. Schedule a hassle-free consultation, 969-8100. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, Michelson Laser Vision. Make sure you tell them The Next Round sent you, 969-8100 or Michelson. LaserVision.com.
The Next Round is so much more than the show you get from 9 to 1 each day. So make sure to head to our official YouTube channel at Next Round Live and subscribe to get all of our latest content. We, of course, have plenty of specialty content and shorts based all around the sports in the heart of the SEC. But we also talk pro sports, gambling, lifestyle and entertainment, and so much more. It's the Next Round YouTube channel where you never know what you're going to find next. Subscribe now to see the latest content and get notifications when we go live. That's at Next Round Live on YouTube.
O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels, February 2nd through 4th. See customs, classics, and feature cars like the Batmobile and General Lee. Meet WWE's Mankind or Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver. Get discount tickets at O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Details at worldofwheels.net.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast. The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and our entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Back with you on the Next Round show, being brought to you by our friends at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Alabama wins in basketball last night. Nate now 6-3. 6-3 against Auburn, all against Bruce Pearl. Bruce, of course, 3-6 against Nate. 12-13 all time against Alabama. For Nate, though, 6 of 9 versus the AP Top 10, 16 of 20 versus the AP Top 25. Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama tied for first in the SEC. That SEC standing update brought to you by Johnston RV Center.
I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur is where you find Johnston RV Center. If you want to go to an RV show, you can go to an RV show. But if you want to just see an RV show every single day, you go to Johnston RV Center at one of those two locations. Now, if you want to catch them at a show, you can do that. February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at Von Braun Civic Center in Huntsville. We've done a game from there. February 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the BJCC is where they'll be. But right now, on their lots, those Forest Rivers have showed up, man. They look beautiful. Travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes. They still got previously owned there as well, but they've got RV show pricing right now at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, and always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. RVCenter.com.
Rockstar's 4 Downs coming up a little bit later on in this segment. We're about to learn about shadow
banning.
Shadow banning. Explain to me what has happened in your life since I last saw you.
Well, I brought this up yesterday, and I know you kind of laughed this off. So the game's going to be fixed this weekend. Look,
I'm still laughing.
Okay, well, the NFL wants Taylor Swift in Kansas City. I mean, it is an absolute fact. They want her in this game. And so I got I got a little thing sent to me yesterday about who is going to be the referee assigned to this game.
Okay.
And when you start to look at these numbers, it's kind of amazing. So Sean Smith, who is in his 6th season as a referee, 9th overall as an official, is going to be working his 2nd championship game. He was the umpire in 2017, the NFC Championship game, when the Eagles beat the Vikings, by the way, on the road. This will be his first championship game as a referee.
Okay.
Smith was the referee in the Chiefs' 21-17 loss to the Eagles this season, and he worked the Ravens' 23-7 win at the Jaguars. In both of those games, road team won.
So he had a Chiefs loss and a Ravens win.
Yeah.
Okay.
But listen to this. Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis. I don't know who this guy is.
Yep, most people will not.
Okay.
Which keeps me in the laughing category. Go ahead.
Okay. He expressed uneasiness about Smith being assigned to work the AFC Championship
So Warren
game.
Sharp's uneasy about this?
Yeah. And apparently, I don't know anything about this guy, but a quote, "It was fascinating decision to put on Sean Smith for the Chiefs game. The last 3 years, with other refs, home teams win 56% of the time. But with Smith, the home team rate drops to 40%. With other refs, home teams cover the spread a little over 50%. With Smith, home team cover rate drops to 30%. Goes on to say, is this merely coincidental?
Is it?
Or is there a reason why home teams lose so often with him than with other refs? So I worked with NFL Ref Stats 1 and uncovered some wild penalty trends for Smith. These trends certainly help drive the result of home teams losing as often as they do. How do road teams win so many games with Smith? Example 1, false start penalties. The NFL average the last 3 years, 4.6% more penalties on the road team. Makes sense. Crowd noise, etc. would hurt a road team. However, Smith the last 3 years, 35% more penalties on the home team.
I will go. What's the stake situation? 5 stakes? Is that where we are?
Or you're burning them quick.
I'll go 5 stakes. 5 on 5.
That what?
I'll take the non-conspiracy theory. I'll take the Ravens win the game.
No, I mean, I'm pulling for the Ravens. I can't tell you. I'll have Ravens gear on Sunday.
Do you have gear?
Yeah.
I can't believe you can't see something like this, though.
I can't believe you believe something like
You
this.
literally started by saying, I don't know who Warren Sharp is.
Yeah.
And then you base your whole argument on something he said.
Lunsford, who you respect a lot, is asking if you have tinfoil under your TNR hat.
He's the one that thinks Britney Spears is dead, so let's not even go there.
He does, in fact, think that. That is true.
And Al from Dadeville, Goodell is like Santa, always watching. How about this? I tweeted directly at the NFL yesterday.
Okay, did you?
And I tweeted at the Chiefs saying the NFL wants the Chiefs to win this game, and I sent that story with it. There were last night, like over 1,000 views and not one response. And so, no, but somebody would say you're an idiot or you're right. This Taylor Swift thing is wearing me out. There's going to be a response. So I asked around, and Lunsford told me, what is shadow banning, Lunsford?
Shadow banning is where you're basically banned, but you don't realize that you're banned. But you're saying there, I mean, I have tons of videos with over 1,000 views and no comments on it. That doesn't mean anything.
But you're saying it would not have shown up in my timeline because you're shadow banned? Is that what you're
shadow
saying?
ban somebody sometime on certain sites and like you could keep talking and nobody knows that you're there because you're just talking to air at that point because you've been shadow banned.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'm sure I've thrown things out there that nobody's commenting on, but this is such a polarizing topic that somebody would have said something.
So you think you're shadow? What time did you send this?
Yesterday.
That's very broad. That's a 24-hour period. Could you maybe narrow it down to a particular part of the day?
Bobby, LT's been saying for months, Swift-Kelly relationship is fake, scripted by the NFL. He's
haven't
stopped saying like fool, and he hasn't stopped. I had a buddy, he was like, do you really think Travis Kelce would sell out and act like that? I'm like, he's doing Pfizer commercials.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll all sell out. What time did you send it? So if I
sometime yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the video was sent to you guys. I guess y'all didn't watch it.
I did not.
I did not. No, and apparently, I went past it, so that may count for a view, but I did not listen to it.
No, it was texted to us.
It was texted to us.
Yeah. I did not click on that.
Well, I just figure I'm going to watch the game either way. I don't really care.
I think it came down to I was driving in the rain and when it was texted, and I did not jump in on that.
JD is up in Huntsville. Alabama winning last night in basketball as we jump back on the JohnsonRVCenter.com hotline. JD, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So I never did hear the end. Did you guys actually have a bet? You were going back and forth on things, and I said you really didn't need a bet because, the bet would only hurt Dunaway because whatever embarrassing thing he had to do, that would affect him more than Alabama losing. But the fact that Auburn lost was much more crushing than any kind of thing you could have made Little T do.
That's right. That's right. To catch everyone up, if you missed it, Taylor was baiting me for 3 days to try to have a bet with her on the Auburn-Alabama basketball game. And, it was like where I would wear, loser would wear the other's hoodie. It would look, massive blanket hoodie of mine. I don't even have an Alabama hoodie, but if I had one, I'd buy one. She would have to wear it. I could not fit a leg in one of Taylor's hoodies, so I kept saying, "No, we can't do that because I cannot wear one of your hoodies."
Yeah,
I would rip it. It would be like Hulk, but not in a good way, just in the stomach
we
region.
get to see some man titties too.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't going to be good either way. So we never settled on a bet or anything. We did an Instagram live for about 50 minutes on the drive back last night.
It was entertaining. I watched some of it.
And Taylor had some great quotes for JD. If he missed it, what was some of Taylor's great quotes?
Her first one was, I wrote them down. I documented her. Her first one was, "Y'all don't be mean to me. I'm very vulnerable right now."
Yes.
Should we have road beers? And I'm sorry, we're not taking requests right now.
Yes. Those were some of Taylor's moods on the way home. But it went by quick. She handles it like a professional until we get into the car, and then she started to have a little bit of a meltdown. But as I try to tell her,
she's still pissy today.
She is, and she
you have poured liner fluid on that fire.
And she keeps saying that maybe I need to therapy or try to reassess my life. Blah 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 blah. And I said, no, not at all.
Passion we love.
Not at all.
Yes.
I mean, it's the people that are passionate about things that make the world go around. And she's passionate about Auburn. She should stay passionate about Auburn. She's passionate about work. She's passionate about friendships and relationships.
No, she's pissed, too, because people were stealing her content again last night. And that's got her pissed on top of that.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just talk to Lance. I mean, Lance, you've all had plenty of experience with this when you've had crushing losses. I mean,
I still can't. Hey, I can't get over this Rams loss to Detroit, and it's been weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more about the two Super Bowl losses when the Rams were definitely better than the Patriots in both games, in my opinion. No way they should have lost either one of those games. But you could probably have a little session, say, this is how you handle this kind of thing, so to move forward. But one of the other things about today, which is so funny about our state, I'm driving around listening to different shows. What do I hear more about than the game last night?
Ryan Williams.
Absolutely. And then on Twitter, I'm seeing more people talking about Ryan Williams than about the game. I see Auburn people clinging to, we got a better receiver than Ryan Williams. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think so. But anyway, does that not speak volumes about our state?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah,
thank you, JD.
Football is a much more popular sport than basketball. We're just very lucky that basketball has gotten so good around here. You know what I mean? I mean, just think about what we've had the last few years. It's just really good basketball. Sanford, by the way, losing last night, 17-game win streak comes to the end. Nation's longest win streak comes to the end. Auburn had an 11-game, which was the longest Power 5, tied for the longest Power 5 or Power 6 win streak. That came to an end last night. Illinois lost to Northwestern last night, top 10 loss. Basketball is crazy. So, too, is Rockstar's 4 Downs every day, brought to you by our friends at Slice. We love when Rockstar gives us our Thursdays. 4 Downs. Tell us about Slice, LT.
4 great locations, soon to be a 5th location in Homewood. Local pizza, local ingredients. Get and see the Bajaya brothers. Tell them the Next Round sent you from the old school, the Bajaya special, the hot mama, the soul pie. You're going to absolutely love it. Very creative, delicious, local pizza. For more information, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
What is the most basic thing you are terrible at?
Writing.
Math for me.
Yeah, you do have poor penmanship. We've talked about it. Yep.
Is jump rope basic?
We do. Everybody does it every day. We do jump rope for heart.
I've told.
Can you really not jump rope?
I cannot jump rope, and
you have no coordination.
I don't, and it was the reason I quit football in 9th grade. Because
that was the reason.
We were doing off-season training, and it always was a massive jump rope session before we started doing other weightlifting and running and drills and all that. And I never could master it, and I was just so frustrated.
It's repetition, and it's one of those things that you don't forget to do. Like in my calves, I could barely walk the stairs the other day because I went to do Peloton because it was raining outside, cold, all that kind of stuff. Maddie's on the Peloton, so I had to do some kind of cardio. So I got out the old jump rope, and it probably had been 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that muscle memory, you just don't forget it.
Yeah. Well, I never got that muscle memory. I'm horrible at it. And I mean, it's always like I maybe get it one time, and then the second time it's just frustrating. And I watch these little girls they always do it in movies or on television shows, and they jump in and they're double roping, and there's 3 people doing it at one time, and I'm like, it's like wizardry to me.
So you can't do 2 in a row.
I can't swim. I can't jump rope. There's a lot of things I can't do.
Mine is parking a car. I am awful. Like, I will pull straight into a spot and I'll get out, my tire's on the line, or I'll try, pull into a spot and I'm too close on the passenger side, so I'll back out, and then I'm too close on the driver's side.
I intentionally park on a little slant because it's an easier backup for me. Like here, I will intentionally park on a little slant because of where my parking spot, where I always park, the bush right behind me, so it gives me an easy pull
You
out.
also have a good spot because you park where nobody parks, so it's just like you're like Wally World. First one here, last one.
When you get here at 6 a.m., you park anywhere you want.
You have like a half-mile walk.
I suck at parking.
I park on the interstate today.
Yeah,
it's not even that hard, I don't think, but I suck at it.
I think most people
suck at parking. It seems like I'm just talking, man. I'm straight in an unguarded spot and I can't do it.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, just walk around the parking lot and see how angled and all over the place most people are.
Yeah, you're right. Parking, some of it's an angle thing, but some of it is just I'm in a hurry thing.
So what do you think a lot of jump rope would be to like do consecutively without tripping up?
Oh, I think you talking about for good jump ropers or for anyone?
I'm not talking about like professionals. I'm just talking about.
To me, I mean, I would be impressed if you did 200.
So if we did a stake and I went 1,000 without tripping up.
No, I don't want to see that. How long would it take? That would bore me.
I mean, 1,000 would take, I don't know, 10
Can
minutes.
I just tell you something? Jump rope is good exercise. You don't really need the rope.
Who the hell's counting?
The jumping is going to give you the exercise.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it is.
I disagree.
No, it's 100%. Just jump and move your arms and you're fine. You don't need the rope.
You got to have
something. You don't need a bicycle either. You go on your back and just do your feet like
that
this.
doesn't make any sense.
But even
How
without
does
the
it not
rope,
make any sense?
That's like running in place is going to do the same thing for you?
No, you're doing the exact same motions. You just don't have the rope.
Yeah,
What's the rope doing for you?
But Brown, my muscle memory of that is I'm doing this, and the second time I'm like,
well, you just keep going.
I don't have the rope.
But I think
mentally I keep
If you just do that at a good rhythm for however long, you're
disagree.
fine. Lance going to disagree, but the rope does nothing for you.
Yeah. Ropeless jump ropes. Yeah. Thank you, Rusty.
Some people say the ropes are weighted. Just hold a couple of weights and do it. I mean, it's all the same thing.
Second down.
What is the male equivalent of becoming a stripper to make it through hard times?
Club promoter.
Really?
You know any club promoters?
What? I don't. I don't know any strippers
Somebody
either.
in the back mumbled delivery driver.
Oh,
yeah. I think selling your plasma too. I think selling plasma or club promoter. I've never known a club promoter that's legitimate.
Define a club promoter. What is a club promoter?
The guy that is out there. We've got specials tonight. Like he's
the guy that's in Vegas that's doing this.
Yeah, that's club promoter.
What about the guy that's on 280 that's spinning his thing, telling me to go in and get CBDs?
Yeah,
I've never seen him spin it. I've seen his ass just sit there like, come on.
The way he's killed the grass.
I just don't think they make the money a stripper would make, though.
Yeah.
Mine would be running a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, though. I guess stripping is, too.
The thing is, I honestly think, do you think you know that it's a pyramid scheme? Or like, this is not.
No,
this
they
is
know
legit.
it's a pyramid scheme. That's why when they call you to try to bait you into coming to lunch, they don't tell you what they want to talk about because they know it's a pyramid scheme.
Sad.
Yeah, it is.
Third down.
It was not long ago that I got sucked into a lunch and I had my radar down and I ordered We were at Jim and Nick's. I was going to say we were at Jim and Nick's, and the guy he baited me into lunch, and I trusted him, and then he hits me with a pyramid scheme. So I ordered a entree, 5 vegetables, a dessert, and then I got 2 desserts to go.
So you ran the bill up on it.
I ran the bill as much as I could at Jim and Nick's. I wish we had been somewhere more expensive. I'd have hit him over the head.
I don't blame you for that, because if you're going to throw down the pyramid scheme, you got to at least tell it on the front side.
Well, he was telling me how much money they make off for it, so I didn't think my entree and 5 vegetables was going to break him. You guys are making a fortune. You just told me that. Yeah.
And Jim's Bitcoin. I mean, it's easy.
That's right.
What animal that is bigger than you are you confident that you could beat in a fight with your bare hands?
This is difficult. I would say there are humans. How about that? That are a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Oh, so humans are animals?
Yeah, because I can't. I mean, I'm not going to beat a Great Dane.
I'm going to say it's none for me. That I'm
jump rope a caribou.
I'm going to end up being the glass Joe for everyone else. Everyone's Jim. I can beat Jim up.
The submissive. He just goes on his back.
I mean, I am 6'1", 215. So that is a big animal. I mean, what animal is bigger than 6'1", 215 that I can
giraffe.
beat?
Well, I'm just saying.
I can't beat a giraffe.
I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying.
No, I'm saying what I can beat.
Chase, there's no way kangaroo.
No,
kangaroos are
Somebody asked me last time we were talking about this, and they were like, kangaroo. And I'm like, hell no, they got razor blades.
Yes, I'd kill you in a heartbeat.
And see, if you're in a fight with it, that means the animal's already pissed off about something.
Yeah, there is not an animal bigger than me that I could beat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to die trying, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'll fight till the end.
You're going to submit.
Chances are good I'm going to lose.
Glass Joe.
4th down.
What was the last manly thing you did?
I had to change a tire, and it's been a couple of months. Yeah, it was. I had a blowout and had to change a tire, but yeah, knocked it out.
Helped my daughter move this week. I drove a U-Haul van. I drove a rental van. I don't want to give them advertising.
Whoops.
And then loaded up some furniture and unloaded some furniture and drove that thing back. And got it back on time. Got it back on time.
I winterized my outdoor faucets so my pipes wouldn't burst.
Yep.
Felt good about doing that.
And how do you winterize them?
Well, you wrap them.
I bought tailored lunch yesterday. That's a manly thing to do.
That's awesome. Damn, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, you just wrap them and get like some tape over them. They make those things that are like styrofoam. You can pop over them
like a pool noodle.
If you wait until right before the
freeze
comes, nobody has those, as it turns out. So
Roy, does Maggie have a list of things Jim's can't do? Yes. It's called the for better or worse list in our house. She always reminds herself that she signed on for this a long, long time ago. That is our 4 downs, brought to you by our friends at Slice.
Yeah, 4 great locations. Stop in, see the Bajalia brothers, created by the late Jeff. His brothers continue to celebrate his legacy. Get in, see Jason, Chris, and the guys. Tell them the Next Round sent you. 4 locations and online, slicebirmingham.com.
When we come back, more reaction from Alabama's win over Auburn in basketball last night. Then NFL playoffs with Dan Orlovsky. The show being brought to you by the great folks at the University of Montevallo. If you're looking for a place for your son or daughter to go to school, in fact, I was moving Harper from Montevallo yesterday, montevallo.edu, or 2 days ago, montevallo.edu. 23 NCAA Division II fully funded scholarship sports, including wrestling now. Also, a wonderful academic life, great theater and music department, great place for business school, and as I said, just great student life. Check it out. In-person tour, montevallo.edu, montevallo.edu.
Unlocked with Fox Sports' Brock Heward and Lance Taylor weekly at Disrupt the Media on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
What are you waiting for? It's non-stop gaming action at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Come play more than 900 of the latest and greatest games around, featuring fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can wager and win on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. There are more ways to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Birmingham Racecourse Casino, located off I-459 exit 31 Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older.
When it comes to great clothing, I love comfortable clothing that I can also wear to the golf course or anywhere I go. I get that from Roback. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Whether it is the softest hoodies you'll ever find, they're great quarter zips, the polos, the pants, the crew necks, you can get them all at Roback.com, and we're helping you save. Your first order at Roback.com can get a 20% discount when you use code TNR20. That is Roback.com, code TNR20 for 20% off your initial order at Roback.com.
Bandwagon wants to remind you that baseball and softball season is right around the corner, and their shelves are stocked with everything your kid needs. From grip tape to gloves to custom uniforms, Bandwagon has all the gear, big and small, for those ballpark days. Until February 3rd, you spend $100 on baseball or softball equipment, and Bandwagon will give you $20 off. Just tell them the Next Round sent you. Visit locations in Cahaba Heights, Homewood, and Trustful, or go online to bandwagonsports.com. Next Round listeners, it's time to jump on the bandwagon.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service. Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round to tell you about our friends at Gutter Cap. Gutter Cap's that patented aluminum cover system that fits over most existing gutters to keep out debris and eliminate that gutter cleaning. It's backed with a lifetime warranty, almost 20-year service record right here in Birmingham. Stay off that dangerous ladder forever. 45% off the retail price now if you call guttercapbirmingham.com. Call my good friend Chris Stewart now, 205-823-2212. Cap it, don't snap it. It's Gutter Cap.
When it comes to great clothing, I love comfortable clothing that I can also wear to the golf course or anywhere I go. I get that from Roback. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. Whether it is the softest hoodies you'll ever find, they're great quarter zips, the polos, the pants, the crew necks, you can get them all at Roback.com, and we're helping you save. Your first order at Roback.com can get a 20% discount when you use code TNR20. That is Roback.com, code TNR20 for 20% off your initial order at Roback.com.
Back with you on the Next Round. Alabama winning last night. Hear from Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl in just a second. Our friends at Legacy Credit Union want to remind you that those credit card debt that you have moving into 2024 can be managed better if you switch to Legacy, a balance transfer over there to Legacy. And right now you get 2.99% annual percentage rate for balance transfer for the first 6 months. And the Legacy credit card's only an 8.90% APR. Get all the details right now at legacycreditunion.com or stop by any of their 9 local branches right there. No balance transfer fees, no annual fees, and that 2.99% annual percentage rate on that massive balance transfer that you can switch to Legacy today. The details at legacycreditunion.com. Proud sponsor of UAB Athletics. Andy Kennedy coming up in just under an hour. Nate Oates last night. And why this was a not a must-win game, but as LT pointed out, it was a crucial point in Alabama's season to get a win last night against Auburn, and they did.
Coach, what does this say about your team getting kind of hit in the mouth this weekend and then bouncing back? Top team in the SEC comes in and you guys do that against your biggest rival.
Yeah, I think it shows we do have some fight. We do have some guys that have some competitive juices to them. You know, look at a guy like Ryland and Sears. And, you know, I think we got some guys that don't want to lay down and just take L's. So, you know, I told them our responses to some losses last year were 60 and 50-point wins. We weren't going to get a 60 or 50-point win over number 6 team in the country, but we were going to need an effort like we got after some losses last year to get a win, period, this year. And shoot, I mean, it was basically a one-possession game down to the wire. So it took a monumental effort, and we were a lot tougher than we were against Tennessee.
That 14-point lead in the first half ended up being huge. And in that first half, Alabama had 11 assists. And as Karen, who listens to our show, and she does a lot of statistics for the SEC Network and ESPN on games, she DM'd me at halftime, Brownie. She's saying in the first half right now, Alabama is out Auburning Auburn right now with the distribution of the basketball.
Yeah, and Auburn had an alarming number of turnovers. It's something Auburn has been really good. I've brought it up a number of times. They went into that game 5th in the nation in assist-to-turnover ratio, and they started turning the ball over. And when Alabama is hot from outside, and it's going to be easier to do that at home, obviously. It's one of the great things about playing at home. You're very comfortable there. When Alabama's hot from the outside and you have empty possessions with turnovers, they're going to be almost impossible to beat, especially when you're playing them on the road.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in that first half. Auburn would turn it over. Bama would hit a 3.
I would tell you this, that Wrightsell's a kid that's not getting talked about enough. played a little defense. But, dude, he's a guard in my eyes. I don't know what he's officially listed at, but watching him on the court, he's a guard. He had 9 rebounds. 9 rebounds.
Well, his wingspan is ridiculous. And, gets the start last night and comes out, and he's burying threes, 4 of 6 behind the arc. I mean, that's a guy from, Cal State Fullerton he's an impact guy that seems like he's getting more confident each and every game.
And you talked about how important it is for Auburn and Mississippi State maybe to sort of establish who they really are, bouncing back from this loss. I think we learned a little bit about Alabama as well at home against LSU. Alabama's so much better of a team than LSU is.
They are.
You need to keep this momentum moving.
And Alabama will probably be Lance a double-digit favorite in that game over LSU, I would think, at home. Not that matters, but I'm just saying that's the space between these two teams. And you're not going to get the same juiced environment you had. It's going to be a lesser environment, so you're going to have to create some of the juice yourself.
Yeah, probably 8.5.
Okay.
I mean, Georgia was 3.5 at home over LSU. I would say 8.5 to 10.
Yeah, so it's going to be one of those games.
You got to bring your own
guts.
Yeah, bring your own BYOG.
Yeah, bring your own guts. And you're going to have to bring your own juice for that one. I mean, there'll be a good crowd there on a Saturday, but it won't be the same atmosphere you played in last night.
Saturday night, 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Against a lesser team at LSU, and it ain't Auburn on the jersey, and it's not a top 10 team.
Interesting that Alabama wins 3 straight against Auburn now because they beat them twice last year. First time that's happened in the series since Alabama did it in 2015. I did have a chance to ask Bruce about the malfunction of the lights that delayed the game 15 minutes after its start last evening. And here's Bruce Pearl.
The fragmented start to the game with the light malfunction and anything else that may have gone on in the game from your side, did it impact your team at all?
No, I don't think it impacted us at all. I gave Nate a hard time. I said, look, if you guys want a new facility, just get a new facility. You don't have to turn the lights off or, something like that. But no, it was one of those things that happens.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl last night being very cordial about that.
Nice shot at the Coleman.
Hey, Nate's taking shots too.
Yeah, Nate was taking shots as well last night.
Well, it was embarrassing. I mean, it's embarrassing that happens. It really is. I mean, Scott's showing you the photo of you're basically playing at a rave. I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know how to describe it. I've never seen it happen.
And, listening to Chris Stewart when it went down, he said, look, they're making a call to the SEC office to make sure everybody's okay with playing in this. It sounded like they were going to keep playing at that dim light.
If they could have gotten the lights balanced equally on the same side of the floor, but there were emergency lights that were on at the other end of the floor. So it was much brighter at the opposite end of the floor than that end of the floor. So they couldn't even get it to a balanced lighting, no matter what color they were choosing up there, red, blue, yellow, white, whatever. They couldn't get it to balanced lighting to continue play. Because, I mean, it wasn't as dark as it appeared on television in there. And they could have adjusted the irises and it would look fine on television. We've all played, pickup games in a lot less lighting than you play in the made-for-TV stage there. But they couldn't even get the balanced lighting on each end. One side was very bright and the other side was very dim. So there was no way they were going to keep playing.
I had an Auburn fan say you would never see anything like that at an Auburn event. I was like, you played a football game while the next door building burned down one time. I mean, it's crazy things happen, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, those maintenance guys were scrambling around. And then once the game started going, you had the malfunction of the clock and the buzzer lit up on the backboard.
It was embarrassing, no doubt.
It was. I was just waiting for the roof to start leaking. But I think by design that's impossible because it just rolls off the hanger.
The old airplane hanger.
Yeah, abstract art is what they call it. All right, when we come back, we will talk to our man Dan Orlovsky about the NFL playoffs. Looking forward to Sunday. It's the best day of the season for me. The AFC NFC Championship. World of Wills is one of the best weekends in Birmingham.
Jimmy D, it is, and it is coming to the BJCC. The World of Wills, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can go see the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wills for yourself. The BJCC. Coming up February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Mick Foley going to be there Friday night, Mankind. Then you'll get Jerry Mathers, the Beav on Sunday, Dave Kindig, of Ken Diggett is going to be there on Saturday. You can get all the information at worldofwheels.net. That is worldofwheels.net. Get tickets at any local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. See one-of-a-kind vehicles like you have never seen before. Free things for the kids to do. The kids love this. You can see it for yourself at the BJCC or go to worldofwheels.net. Get tickets at any local O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels at the BJCC February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Take the next round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store.
Are you ready for a winning season in your finances? Legacy Credit Union is bringing you a slam dunk deal on their credit cards. Apply for their balance transfer and pay zero balance transfer fees. That's right, there is no balance transfer fees, and they're offering a jaw-dropping 2.99% APR for the first 6 months. Whether you're looking to clear the cord of those holiday expenses or just wanting to streamline your finances, apply online today, LegacyCreditUnion.com. Annual percentage rate, terms and conditions may apply. See Credit Union for details. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey, Ryan Brown here from The Next Round. Do you want to help pay for my kids' college and look great while you're doing it? You need to go to The Next Round store. Everything from hats to short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, zip-up hoodies, and much more. And we're adding new things all the time. Why would you not want to see my kids get a great college education and look great out in the public while you're doing it? Get the gear we wear all the time on the show, and there's only one place to get it. Nextround.store. That's nextround.store.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop. Rare quality, well-done service.
There are so many things I love about walk-ons. Authentic, mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh daily from scratch. A great beer selection and TVs everywhere to watch the big game every day of the week. And of course, they've got 2 great locations on Highway 280 and 119 and at Hoover near the Hoover Met. Walk-ons is also a great place for happy hour. 2 to 6 Monday through Friday with $5 moonshine swirls, $5 house pours, and half-price appetizers. And it's an easy take-home experience for the family as well. Highway 280 and Hoover with walk-ons.
Make sure to start your day at nextroundlive.com. Get caught up on the latest podcasts and videos from the live daily show, plus specialty shows such as the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can also learn more about the whole staff at Double Down Media, find all of our social media feeds, see the latest videos from our YouTube channel and gaming channel, plus find other ways to consume the show like the Next Round mobile app, which you can download direct from the site via your iOS and Android device. Make nextroundlive.com your homepage and stay up to date with everything from us here at the Next Round.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Daryl writes in and says Auburn is 9-46 all time at Coleman Coliseum. I'm good with the Art Deco hanger. No new building, says Daryl there. On our social media platform at Next Round Live everywhere, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or on the X or Twitter, wherever, Facebook at Next Round Live, of course on YouTube, both Next Round Live and Disrupt the Media. Thumbs up, like it, subscribe, and get ready for all the coverage we have leading into another football season, which now is just 212 days away. Alabama gets Ryan Williams, 5-star commitment from Saraland, a 6'1", 164-pound wide receiver, number 4 overall recruit. One-time Alabama commitment, long-time Alabama commitment, decommitted on the day Nick Saban announced his retirement.
made some visits and has decided to stick with the Tide, at least right now. Jim Harbaugh is the new coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. It hasn't been announced yet officially, but I guess Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, will go with him. If you haven't followed the story, Harbaugh was looking for a defensive coordinator at Michigan to sort of change the direction of the program and went to his brother with the Ravens and said, hey, do you have any young defensive analyst that would work as my defensive coordinator? And John said, I have two. He interviewed both of them, and he said, I'll take either one of them. And he ended up going with Mike McDonald, who is now back with the Ravens and is killing it as their defensive coordinator. So you would assume Jesse Minter would work at the NFL level as well.
Yeah, I like Jesse Minter, and I thought this was one of those guys that would be a head coach in the FBS over the next couple of years, and still might be. I think he trusts Harbaugh that much. This Charger defense at times was a disaster.
Hard to go anywhere but up with them, right?
Well, and you just wonder what you're going to do with the Chargers roster because, on the surface, you've got a lot of talented guys, but you start to look at guys like Keenan Allen and Khalil Mack. They're on the other side of 30. They're demanding huge contracts. You wonder what you'll do there. You've got Justin Herbert. You think Austin Eckler is going to be back. Bosa's going to be back. You've got some parts to work with. I think the Chargers could be a sleeping giant, especially when you look at what Jim Harbaugh was able to do in 3 years with San Francisco.
What's crazy is the Falcons have now, Scott, I don't know if Scott saw this, I think it's 14 coaches they have now interviewed.
Yeah, and 3 of them have been at least twice. Belichick, Harbaugh, and now Vrabel is coming back.
Twice, yeah, because the Panthers have just hired, according to Ian Rappaport, your offensive coordinator down away, Dave Canales.
God, he was so good.
Yeah, did wonders with Baker Mayfield this year.
Needs to eat a sandwich.
He was so good, though. Dude.
We can get a good sandwich in Charlotte now. But
great play designer.
Meanwhile, the Falcons are interviewing everybody that wants to interview. Like anybody that asks, yeah, come on, interview with us.
Forrester and I were in the bathroom together a minute ago, and I was like, did you hear the news that Saban is taking the Falcons job? And he's like, I'll take it if Belichick will be his defensive coordinator. You guys think Belichick would do that?
Listen, Nick, I owe you one jump-starting my career. I'll pay it back right now. Hey, Champy's Chicken brings you this hour. Highway 119 in Alabaster, champyschicken.com. Go down there, get that deep southern fried chicken, the big 2 breast sides. That's what I usually get there. Sometimes I go hand-cut chicken fingers. The Mississippi Delta recipe tamales always start my meal off. I get the small version, 3 tamales right there. Got a little kick to them because there's the Mississippi Delta recipe. And it's a great bar as well, good date night. Champy's Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster.
All right, NFL Championship Sunday. It is our favorite day of the NFL season, and it is coming up this weekend. AFC, NFC Championship games. Dan Orlovsky will talk about both of those with us. Now presented by MyBookie.ag, code next round, MyBookie.ag, code next round. Welcome in, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're doing awesome. Thank you so much. Kansas City going on the road for the first time. Everybody was like, what is Patrick Mahomes going to do on the road? He went to a difficult environment and won a game on the road. It's like I kind of felt silly for even questioning it after seeing the way it turned out.
Yeah, obviously the way that the game ends leaves a little bit of no way that happened ending to it because the quarterback performance by both those guys, Patrick and Josh, was fantastic. It's going into the game, I thought Kansas City would win just because at some point, Joes matter and the injuries just added up for Buffalo defensively specifically became huge. I do think it was the cleanest performance from Kansas City offensively when it comes to penalties and turnovers and self-inflicted wounds and drop. And so that was great to see. Different animal this week. It is a different beast going into Baltimore against this defense, but not shocking that they got it done. They'll need an equally as impressive performance, if not better, to go win this weekend.
First 30 minutes, maybe it was rust for the Ravens against the Texans. Didn't look their best, but that final 30 minutes, if Baltimore plays like that, I don't know. As good as San Francisco's roster is, I don't know if Baltimore can lose.
Yeah, I've said that for, almost 3 months now. I was like, you got to catch them on an off day. Now, can that happen? Of course, it's sports. And you got to hope that they don't play, a B-plus to A game. If they play a B-plus to A game, I don't think anybody can beat them. But if you can catch them on a little bit of an off day and, where they maybe Lamar gets tricked once or twice and has a turnover or something, you can beat them. Not going to be easy because they, their losses this year were obviously, Pittsburgh end of the year doesn't matter because they didn't play anybody. They lost to Indy. They had 8 or 9 fumbles. They lost to the Steelers. They had like 7 drops. And I forget their third loss. And then really the only team that pushed them big time was the Rams, and that was an otherworldly performance throwing the ball by Stafford.
I'm interested about the Lions and how beat up they got in that game with Tampa Bay. Some injuries on the offensive line, tight end. Any concern to you of just how healthy Detroit is going into the San Francisco game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of concern with Ragnow, their center. You know, Jonah Jackson, their guard, got hurt, and they played most of the game without him. Really good player. But Ragnow is a little bit more of a concern just because, one, how great of a player he is. He's arguably the best center in all of football. And then, you know, Javon Hargrave is their interior defensive tackle along with Arik Armstead for San Francisco. I expect him to play. He played hurt. I don't know how negatively impacting that injury is, but yeah, there's a little bit of concern. I still think that they're healthy enough.
Yeah, and listen, I know he's only tight end 2 with Brock Wright, but I saw they brought in Zach Ertz to the practice squad. How difficult is that for a guy like Ertz to even be a contributor if he's called on to do that?
Yeah, I mean, he's played enough football and long enough. I think 2 things would probably be best, you know, knowing how in shape he is, you know, how ready he is to go play, you know, 20, 30 snaps if need be. And then how much of this offense does he actually know? You know, you can't stand next to him as a coach like you could do in practice and be like, hey, when you hear this, you're going to line here and this is what your job is, you know? So how much of their package can they actually run with Zach? So if he's in good enough shape, I think he can give him some snaps if need be, as long as you can trust he knows what to do.
Dan Orlovsky with us, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on to get that sign-on bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. And watching the San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
What's that?
I saw the Panthers news just broke.
Yeah. Yes. What do you think about that?
Sorry.
No, you're all good. What do you think about it?
Dave Canales.
Yeah. Dunaway's a Buccaneers fan.
I'm a Buccaneers fan. I hate to lose him.
I saw the Shefty. I saw the Shefty notification drop down. He was really impressive this year in Tampa, man. He really was. Rectified Baker's career and lived in the Mike Evans, Chris Godwin world, and you know, was really diverse in his play calling. So I was very impressed with him this year, man. And I think the more you hear him talk, the more you get really impressed with his vision of football and his understanding of relationships. Obviously, it's been this meteoric jump for him. You know, he's gone from, I believe, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator to head coach. So, you know, he's going to have to handle a lot more, but he was very impressive this past year.
And perfect for Bryce Young, I would assume, right? To get his vision with a young quarterback that is looking for some help and guidance.
Yeah, I said, you know, I think that the most important, attribute for the coach that Carolina was going to hire, or certainly one of them, was you're going to have to get somebody that knows how to rebuild a young quarterback's confidence Bryce Young unquestionably was broken this year. Whatever, if he's long-term broken or not, we have to figure out. But just he was beat up this year. So you got to have someone that's able to rebuild that confidence and get rid of that doubt. And I love the fact that Canales was part of that with Baker this year. And I don't know how much Baker was broken off of his last year in Cleveland and the way he was treated and bouncing around last year. But in some capacity, there was a lot of doubt and unknown with how Baker was going to play this year. And unquestionably, gave him his best year of his career and bounced back. So I love that aspect of it.
So Canales, the quarterback's coach under Pete Carroll last year in Seattle, offensive coordinator this year, and now you see the progression up to Carolina. I know you're in a good spot, but there is word that you have been approached by some NFL teams about being a quarterback's coach. And I'm just asking. I know coaching is a pain in the ass. It's a lot of hours. But is that something you'd be interested in, especially knowing that, if you have success for a couple of years, you would have an opportunity?
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I'm more interested in it now. I say every year that I get away from playing days, which is like 2018, the greater the pull. Most of us who are fortunate and blessed enough to make the NFL level are there in part because we're just psycho competitors. Like it's just in our fabric of our being. We crave it. There is nothing that replaces that. I love what I get to do on ESPN and on TV right now, but you still try to search for that competitive void. There's only so much Peloton I could do, and golf matches I can play or whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested in it. I'm fortunate where I get these calls or text messages and have some of those conversations and whatnot. And so I just got to play it by ear, man. If the right place, right time, right opportunity presents itself, it's something that I take seriously. And I'm also respectful to how difficult that job is.
Yeah, I will tell you that we lived in a world with Nick Saban where you had 300 analysts behind the scenes, not on the field coaches. You could take the entire NFL Live staff with you to be offensive analyst.
Yeah. I don't know if Marcus and Ryan would be into the offensive side of it, but I think I could drag some of those guys with me or some of those girls with me as long as they were willing to. They can't make fun of me as much on everyday job as they do on TV, though.
That's a good point. That's a great point. All right, he is Dan Orlovsky. Championship Sunday coming up this weekend. You can see him talk about it all over ESPN the next couple of days. Thank you very much for the time, Dan. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, buddy. You too. We'll see you. Dan with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. He joins us each week, courtesy of MyBookie.ag. When you sign on at MyBookie.ag, use code NEXTROUND. They give you a sign-on bonus. You can use it right away. Win once with it. It is yours and yours forever. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
Michael says Dan always looks like he's riding when he's on with us. He is literally 98% of the time riding when he's on with us, moving from the New York studio out by the seaport back to his Connecticut home, I assume, right? Is where
I think he's either going back to Connecticut or to Bristol, one of the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a good hour in the car with us and Pat McAfee. That's what he does on his ride.
Yeah, so we enjoyed the time there. Speaking of McAfee, right after LT tells us about our friends at Gutter Cap, his conversation with Kalen DeBoer yesterday. One thing I want to pull out of that about DeBoer and Alabama, where they sit right here today, and how maybe the mood is starting to change a little bit towards how LT's been feeling about DeBoer with Alabama. But tell us about Gutter Cap first.
Hey, look, a lot of rain in the area. You need to keep the gutters clean and free-flowing. The answer is Gutter Cap. Call Chris Stewart, get an absolutely free estimate. They'll come out, they'll clean the gutters one final time, then they'll put that patented aluminum system over the existing gutters. It will keep all the debris out. You'll never have to clean the gutters again. Imagine this scenario. You get on the roof, you slip, you fall, you snap the neck and die. You're no good to the wife or kids. Cap it, don't snap it. 205-823-2212 or guttercapbirmingham.com.
So Kalen DeBoer, I mean, it was over 20 minutes yesterday. He mentioned how, hungry this team is now, that they have been sort of shunned. They've got an edge. They've got a chip on their shoulder, the players who are left behind because of the exits from other people, and how everyone is really writing Alabama off. And there's a lot of 4- and 5-star talent still over there. Some of it hasn't made it onto the field yet. They're young guys. But he loved talking to McAfee yesterday. The culture, as the workouts have started, of this team, those that have stayed behind and the young talent that is there, the fact that Alabama can do this off-season workout with a massive chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, look, I do think they'll have a chip, and I was talking to some guys last night that said they were listening to us here on the Next Round, and when Dunaway counter-programmed and said, hey, Kalen DeBoer's on with Pat McAfee. They quickly turned over to Pat McAfee to watch that interview.
Great sales guy.
Haven't seen it yet. But look, man, he is – I think Ryan Williams is key. Because that is the one guy, it seems like the biggest win. And whether or not that will translate to a productive potential All-American one day, we shall see. But I think it does ease the nerves a little bit of Alabama fans.
I think right now, if you're an Alabama fan, you hope what I'm about to say is true. And it is true right now, but you hope it remains to be true. Is that the lowest moment was the Caleb Downs departure, and everything else is getting better from there. And that's the truth right now. I mean, that's as low as it got. Is you had all these guys flood to the portal. You lost the greatest coach that has ever done it. He decided to step away. You either liked or disliked the DeBoer hire, and some of that for some people is still to be determined, right, based on what he does on the field. You liked or disliked some of the coaches he was hiring. You know, all of that And then the guys that enter the portal, including Caleb Downs, you hope, Dunaway, that right now that's the lowest moment, and it has only been positive since then, or been more positive since then.
Yesterday was
and you hope that continues.
Yesterday was a very positive day for Alabama, right?
Well, it was huge for Kalen DeBoer, whether Nate Oates' team won or lost.
That's right. But if you're an Alabama fan, there's been a lot of shots taken at you, and you had a good day yesterday. But Conor O'Gara, who was on the show earlier, you can see that podcast wherever you get our podcast, writes this at Saturday Down South this morning. Realistic expectations for Kalen DeBoer in year one. I know neither one of you have read it yet. So what do you think? The headline literally says realistic expectations for Kalen DeBoer. So what is a realistic expectation for Kalen DeBoer in year one?
10-2 and getting to the 12-team playoff.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
The expectation for year one of the DeBoer era should be to make the 12-team playoff. And if he doesn't reach that, it's by no means the end of the world. Save that discussion for after year two.
Yeah.
So it is
He's right.
A massive amount of pressure that when you take this job, that is a massive amount of pressure.
I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me, when is the last time we've seen someone take over a program in this good of shape? Larry Coker?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, those Coker teams or any of the Miami teams of the 80s.
And it was proven Larry Coker couldn't coach him. What'd he do?
Yeah, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. I would not say Oklahoma was in as good a shape as Alabama, but it was in good shape.
Les Miles, when he took over LSU after
From
Nick Saban,
not in as good a shape as this Alabama team is, but in good shape.
Well, I mean, this Alabama team would have been a lot different in a non-transfer portal era where you were stuck. I mean, the talent that had to stay at LSU was huge for Les Miles.
My wife asked me at dinner last night. We were at dinner and they were showing the Jim Harbaugh story while Alabama was working out the lights at Coleman. And she said, when is the last time a head coach won the national championship and just left college football? And I said, Tom Osborne. And you know what Jennifer said? Who is that?
Yeah, he's a politician.
Was that the last time?
Yes. I said it was Tom Osborne. And she goes, who was that? And I said, he was the legendary Nebraska coach. You know what she said then? I didn't even know Nebraska won national championships. I said, well, they used to when Tom Osborne was there.
Do you guys remember
1997, Jim? That was the last time it's happened.
The last time Alabama was outside of the top three in the preseason poll?
That was going to be 2008.
It was 2009. When they were number 5. But I've got a feeling they're going to be outside the top 3, right?
Outside
Probably
the top 3?
So, yeah, I would imagine. So I think it's easy Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, or 3.
And then probably Texas. And then it's going to be Alabama or Oregon.
They're going to be in the top 5. Don't shed any tears for them.
But I don't think they're going to be in the top 3.
Probably not.
Unless there's some major portal shakeup after spring training.
But, I mean, you hope, Jim, that was as low as it got. That you'll look back on all of this and say, okay, the low point in this was Caleb Downs leaving. And everything has been mostly positive since then. Now, look, bad things could still happen. That's why I say you continue to hope that was the case. But I think yesterday for Alabama football was another one of those days where it felt like it was turning back in the right direction.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
After some, I hate to even call them dark days. I mean, I think you got to step back and look at what happened and say, are those really dark days? Oh, those weren't dark days. I tried to say that once in a video, and people got pissed because I included Gene Stallings with Mike DeBose and Mike Shula, because Gene Stallings was 50-79 when he took the Alabama job. He never would have gotten it if he didn't know Bear Bryant. Those were dark days. What happened to Alabama was, as I said in that video, a little bit of a bump in the road.
Yeah,
it was a bump in the road.
I do think for whatever reason, typically you would never say season 1 could be the most important season for a coach. Like with Kirby Smart, when he took over from Mark Richt, he went 8-5.
That's what a lot of people are saying. Kirby Smart did not take over a bad situation.
He didn't, but he was a first-year head coach. He was learning to be a head coach.
Yeah, and I think the knock on DeBoer has been, okay, this guy did it in the Pacific Northwest, did it in the Midwest, but he can't do it in the SEC. And so I think this year is so important for so many reasons. You've got the newly expanded SEC. If he doesn't get it done, I think it could affect recruiting. Like if they were to go 8-4, and there are people out there that believe this guy is going 8-4, 7-5. I just don't see it. Again, I think he took a B program in Washington, made it an A+. Now he's taking an A+ program. I just don't think you can jack that up.
Yeah.
By the way, you can if you're a bad coach.
By the way, Matt Zenit is reporting that Texas SEC team expected to hire Miami Dolphins assistant defensive line coach Kenny Baker as their new defensive line coach. there in Austin as the carousel continues to churn everywhere. Trash coming up in the next segment. Show being brought to you in part today by our friends at Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken, Highway 119 in Alabaster. Andy Kennedy not too far away as well at around 45 after the hour here in the final hour. Get by Champy's. Enjoy a great lunch today or dinner, date night this weekend. Always a good time to go by and see Sterling there. He had a houndstooth Alabama hat on the other day when I was by there. Baseball hat, but houndstooth colored. And then one of his servers says, that reminded me of my dad who used to have that hat telling me to do my homework. And he said, well, get back to work then. And Sterling's got a great crew down there. Highway 119 in Alabaster. We are back in a moment on TNR.
Never miss anything Auburn. Watch Village Vice at Wardam Pods on YouTube and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
When it comes to great clothing, I love comfortable clothing that I can also wear to the golf course or anywhere I go. I get that from Roback. Ryan Brown here for the next round. Whether it is the softest hoodies you'll ever find, they're great quarter zips, the polos, the pants, the crew necks, you can get them all at Roback.com, and we're helping you save. Your first order at Roback.com can get a 20% discount when you use code TNR20. That is Roback.com, code TNR20 for 20% off your initial order at Roback.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Fire damage to your home or business is something you never want to consider. Ryan Brown here from the next round. But in the horrible event it happens, Dry Tech is here to help. They respond quickly and will reply to you within 20 minutes when you call 205-637-0143. They're working for you, the customer, not the insurance company. They've got 5 crews ready to go 24/7. Don't call the insurance company first. Call Dry Tech. Just remember this website, mydrytech.com. That is mydrytech.com.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the next round hosts a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation, while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, presented by Redmont Vodka. LT has in-depth conversations with personalities like Clay Travis and Taylor Hicks. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple and Spotify. And remember to like and subscribe.
By the way, we were just talking food in a commercial break.
I love it.
The James Beard Awards.
Yeah, get to some of these places while you can.
Emerging chef Shauna Willis in town. Last Call Bakery. I've never heard of it.
I haven't either.
Nor have I.
But I will now. And then one of the best chefs in the South, according to the James Beard Awards, is Rob McDaniels down at Helen. You guys go there all the time.
Helen, one of my favorite restaurants. And I will just tell you this. When they win James Beard Awards, and we've seen it in this town, and I assume it's places elsewhere, it becomes almost impossible to get a reservation. So if you see these names on the list, get in now.
Show being brought to you in part by our friends at Michelson Laser Vision.
Hey, make the call that I made more than 2 decades ago, 205-969-8100. Ask for Amy. Ask her about that pre-inflation pricing. They've got that rolling right now. Make sure you tell them the next round sent you. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, best in the business. I've got 2015 vision, better than 2020. Make the phone call that I made, 205-969-8100 or online, michelsonlaservision.com.
Royal Payne says Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb's offense will recruit itself once people see it on the field with Alabama this year.
I would agree. And you know, go back and have this conversation with somebody. Like Nick Saban has had his eye on this program for a while on this offense. He wanted Ryan Grubb.
Tried like heck to hire him, yeah.
So he endorses this offense.
Doc Rivers got the Bucs job, leading to the best line in broadcasting this week from Mike Breen last night on the NBA broadcast. We'd like to thank Doc for many weeks of his service.
I like Breen. He's a funny guy.
That was a funny line there last night. And Dolly Parton continues, Rockstar, to be a business entrepreneur. She's teamed up now with a major food company for frozen and refrigerated Southern comfort food. Easy to reheat or cook. The first thing they're throwing out, I don't think there's I mean, we've been doing this a long time. The first thing that Dolly's putting out is Dolly Parton's buttermilk pancakes. Just reheat them, frozen pancakes.
Yeah, I used to have frozen pancakes as a kid. I do not like pancakes to begin with. I'm not a huge fan.
I like pancakes. I like the waffle better. We did waffles on Sunday, but we actually had them delivered.
Yep.
And, boy, it's hard to beat a good waffle.
Yeah, waffles are far better than pancakes.
I love waffles in the toaster really quick, but I like going out for waffles.
But if I never ate breakfast again, I'd be just fine. I'm not a big breakfast guy.
You always say that. All right.
I was going to say this waffle is a little soft. I kind of like mine a little crispy.
Yeah. Too. That's why the frozen ones, I don't mind in the toaster. I set that thing on 5 and blacken that thing up really quick. Charred on the edges. Netflix, Squid Game 2's coming back. Anybody watch it?
Nope.
It's a good show.
You like it, Rocky?
Yeah, it was good. I don't watch the game show. The actual scripted show was good.
Well, crap. Even Tyler said he didn't watch it. And for me, Emily in Paris coming back season 4 this year.
All right.
Thank you, Netflix.
Just throwing it out there. If you've never seen The Killing, because number 12 turned me on to the night of. It was fantastic. Then I turned people on to that. If you haven't seen The Killing, it's on Hulu right now. 4 seasons. First 3 seasons are outstanding. I would skip the 4th, but it is so good.
Yeah.
And you get to see Grant Nelson, Alabama's who shot maybe the 2 worst perimeter shots I've seen in college basketball this year in one game.
He said the ball was slick after the game. Greg from Pill City, wow, LT had waffles delivered this weekend. He really can't hide money.
Okay.
Can't hide it.
So here's the fact. What do you think to go to a restaurant for 3 people to eat breakfast around here is going to be?
$60.
If it's Waffle House, it's $24.78.
Well, yeah, it depends on the restaurant, but a high-end breakfast joint, it's going to be $60.
So I was looking online and it said for $50 or more purchase, free delivery. So I was like, well, hell, why get ready? Why not just have it
Same
delivered?
price, yeah.
Roll in there. Hit Trash Rockstar, the big button. Let's do it. All right.
Do y'all usually start before 8 o'clock with a chainsaw?
What time is it, sir?
Well, it's after 8 now. You guys started firing it up at 7:55.
LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Are you a veteran looking for a VA loan? Mortgage Right has been advocating for veterans since their company began. As a veteran-owned, operated company committed to your well-being, they can help you find the best terms available, guide you through every single step of the process. Visit their location, Highway 280 in Birmingham. You can apply at mortgageright.com/TNR. Call 205-815-9200, NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. This is tell me if this is a bad news. Look, dude's about to die on death row here in state today.
Oh, it's a national, it's a worldwide story.
Yeah.
Okay, is it because of this? I would assume. So I'm not even gonna say the dude's name. He's set to be the first inmate to die using a new method of execution never before tested.
Yeah, right. That's the problem.
Suffocation by nitrogen gas. What could go wrong here?
Yeah, I know, and I think even like veterinarians have said we don't even use that on animals.
Yeah. In fact, I had this conversation with the vet when Baxter got put down. It would be the easiest way to do this, painless, and the way you put down pets. It's a small injection, and the pet never feels it, and the heart stops.
Yeah,
and there's no pain at all. But we choose not to do that.
I just think we should do execution the way that they actually killed somebody. I think
Old
that's fair.
Testament, eye for an eye.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair way to do it. And based on the story I've read, this guy's probably getting off pretty good with the suffocation by nitrogen gas.
I think this way of killing people, I think, is being called even a war crime if it was done during.
The World something Federation doesn't support it. Yeah.
Okay, but
they don't approve of it.
Before we feel sorry for the guy,
I'm not feeling sorry for him. I'm just saying that
he savagely
it's a big
beat a woman, stabbed the defenseless woman 8 times in the chest, and once in each side of her neck.
It was a murder for hire, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, murder for hire, you can put one quickly in the back of the cooler. And
1988, I think, is when the murder
that was right.
A long time ago.
Yeah. I came across this story. This is nuts. A lawyer for a man whose 3 friends were found frozen to death but behind his home after they had watched a Chiefs game together says his client did not know the men were there and might need medical attention. KCTV Channel 5 reports attorney John Pacerno released a statement for his client, Jordan Willis, saying that Willis, quote, had absolutely nothing to do with the deaths of Clayton McGinney, 36, Ricky Johnson, 38, and David Harrington, 37, who were found dead on January 9th. Attorney went on to say Jordan has absolutely nothing to do with their death, that he does not know the timing or manner of their deaths, nor does he know how or when they exited his house. He had no knowledge they remained in his backyard. They needed medical attention. Had he known, he certainly would have called for help. The last time he saw them was when he left his house and went to bed, or when they left his house and he went to bed.
According to Lance, if he's found guilty, he's going to have to watch a Chiefs game and then go out back and die. Is that the way it'll work in your world? Okay.
But, I mean, can you imagine having 3 buddies over to watch Chiefs game and the next thing you know, you wake up, you look out back, and they're frozen?
So we believe maybe they went out to smoke a cig and he just locked the door and went to bed? But, I mean, why do they not go get in their car and go home at that point? Like they don't have the keys maybe?
I mean, I don't know. It just seems a little fishy to me. You guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a second part of this story we're not getting.
Yeah, I'll wait for that analytic guy who's telling me the officials on the take this weekend to tell me what happened in this case.
Warren Sharp's got a report back on what happened to the guys in the backyard.
Visitor from the U.S. got more than they asked for at a Toronto hotel restaurant when they ordered a cheeseburger on Monday night that was served with a waiver on the side. Now, the visitor said in a post to Reddit, quote, "I was flabbergasted. Visitor ordered the burger to be cooked medium and told CTV News Toronto they had already started eating when the server handed them a waiver."
Well, look how pink that meat is. I could see a bite. You see that right there next to the greenery?
It looks perfect.
Oh, it's pink.
Yeah. It's
no,
perfect.
I don't like my hamburger meat pink.
Me either.
Ooh, I do.
My steak is
no, a steak's fine, but not my pink.
That's why you guys don't like the second best hamburger in Birmingham.
No, it was super dry. That one you're talking about.
Well, I think when you make hamburger meat, it's ground beef, so it's going through a processing, right, of chopping it up and everything. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that process.
Right.
It needs to be cooked all the way through.
He said, quote, "I had already had my first bite but stopped eating, did not sign the waiver. I was shocked, to be honest with you." He said the server explained that because the kitchen at the Hilton Toronto Airport Hotel and Suites always cooks their burgers well done, and they should sign the waiver first. Now, according to the waiver, the guest hereby waives and releases any rights, actions, and claims against Hilton for any liabilities and damages, including any foodborne illnesses and death arising out or in connection with the guest use of its own food or consumption of products not provided by the Hilton Toronto Airport. He said, "I lost my appetite, simply felt like I didn't have confidence in the food they were offering." I would be taken aback if I was asked to sign a waiver.
Yeah, me too. On top of all of this, I try to never eat in hotel restaurants.
Me too. But I would be like you guys. Even liberal Jim would be going, "Now, where should I sign?" I'd be eating it while you're signing it.
Well, depending on I mean, there are some fantastic hotel restaurants.
But are they like
not
chains that are in hotels?
No.
I don't like hotel restaurants. I try to avoid
like
those.
the hotel that oh my God, it's slipping, and I know our chat room will know it. The hotel in Franklin. It's a really cool boutique hotel.
Yeah.
Red Roof Inn.
It's not. But they have got an incredible burger. They've got great food.
Yeah.
So places like that, I don't mind. But the Hilton Airport, yeah, that seems like a stretch for a burger. So, crazy story here. A Brazilian man can consider himself lucky to be alive after he mistook a gunshot to the head for getting hit with a rock on New Year's Eve and going about his business for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different days.
Yeah, I could see how you'd make that mistake.
21-year-old Mateus Facio was partying in Cabo on December 31st of last year when he heard a loud noise, like an explosion in his head, followed by a sharp pain. He instinctively put his hand on the top of his head, felt some blood, but thinking that he had just been hit by a random stone thrown by someone in the heat of the moment.
Something bet me.
Mateus just went about his business. He just applied some ice to the wound, celebrated New Year's Eve with his friends, then drove 186 miles to his home. On January 3rd, he went to work as usual, then drove to Rio to meet some of his friends. It was only in the afternoon of the 4th that he realized something was wrong. After taking a nap on January 4th, Mateus felt his left arm was weaker than usual. He could move it, but it felt strange, like it didn't have the power or the coordination to pick up something. Worried, he got dressed, went straight to the local private hospital, where he also told doctors about the stone to the head that he had received 4 days prior. Only a CAT scan revealed that the stone he felt hit his head was actually a bullet that was now lodged in his head.
Well, I got to tell you, man, if you took a bullet to the head and survived 4 days, you're pretty fortunate anyway, you know?
I'm not sure I'm believing this story, but
it does seem a little fishy, too.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, that doesn't look doctored at all. I would say this, that there's a lot of countries and people that fire guns into the air to do celebratory things. Those bullets come down.
They do. It's gravity is undefeated.
Well, and that's what you're looking at. If in fact, that is the CAT scan, it came down at that angle.
That's right. And because we did, back in our radio days, I think we were all together, we did that remote in Bessemer. Was it Bessemer that we were at some place? And,
it
had holes in the roof.
And he had the mason jar full of bullets that they find on their lot.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That was a car lot. Yeah, they've since moved.
See, our memories are fading because I thought it was like a boat place.
No, it was a car lot. Because I also busted up a drug deal going out to my car.
Yep.
Yeah, so they've moved.
Okay. Hey, if you've ever flipped the bird, you've got something in common with ancient Greeks. It was around 2,500 years ago that the Greeks developed a phallic gesture to offend, taunt, and literally poke each other. While throwing up the middle finger today clearly communicates a resounding FU, in classical society, historians say middle finger was more of a sexual reference.
Thanks for blurring the fingers, Rockstar. It made this much more.
I didn't know how insulted y'all would be.
Yeah, the Greeks probably relied on the use of the middle finger to represent an erect penis, according to Max Nelson, who teaches courses on classical civilizations at the University of Windsor in Ontario, Canada.
By the way, you use your pinky.
Yes. Well, apparently I'm on the third pedestal over there.
Now, proudly displaying a middle finger that usually a joke or an insult or a sexual proposition, Nelson said a few sources from ancient Greece reference middle fingers being used to prod or poke people's persons from nostrils to other areas.
It's where the saying "just the nail" came from.
The gesture eventually made its way to ancient Rome, where locals likely called it digitus in pudicus. Now, the indecent digit is what it referred to.
There you go, the old indecent digit.
Yeah, they say that holding the digit hoisted high in the air with the other fingers bending beneath it represents penis and testicles.
Okay, I've never looked at it that way personally.
Yeah, I probably won't moving forward either.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change the way I see it.
So this will shock you guys. PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, have proposed a quite literal change to the Pennsylvania tradition by offering to replace Puxatawney Phil with an enormous golden weather-predicting coin.
Why don't we stop doing PETA stories?
Yeah, that's what they want you to do.
They got good-ass bread, though. Oh, that bread's so good.
I like dipping in hummus.
Now, PETA went on to say, quote, groundhogs can't make heads or tails of the weather forecast and shouldn't be jostled around by large members of a different species and thrust into the front of noisy crowds for a photo op.
Well, he seems very happy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Brown. Let me just say that if he was not happy, he would be chewing that guy's top hat off.
That's correct.
Right? Just like Uga. They were bitching the other day about Uga when Uga 10 died. And let this show. That Uga lived the best life of a dog. Are you freaking kidding me?
On a bag of ice when it was hot.
And got taken care of and had 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day or whatever PETA thinks a proper amount of meals a day
3
is.
hots in a cot.
I mean, my God. This organization finds so much to grapple about, and we give it publicity all the time.
How does PETA even fund itself?
Private donation, I'm sure.
Probably through clicks on social media because we click on it to do these PETA stories. They will find the most outrageous thing to attack. What's the next thing they'll attack? The Budweiser Clydesdales.
Now, PETA has, I'm sure they've already done that, has offered to provide a coin with one side calling for 6 more weeks of winter and the other an early spring.
Well, it seems just as accurate to their defense.
Yeah. Well, they said a coin lands on the side about 50% of the time, whereas Phil's predictions have been shown to be correct around Just 40% of the time.
Yeah, see? Just as accurate.
Sounds like an official heading to Kansas City or to Baltimore.
The fix is in.
The Razzie nominations have been announced. For those that don't know what the Razzies are, these are the worst films of the year, different categories. Worst Picture, The Exorcist Believer.
Should be Maestro. Terrible movie.
The Expendables 4. Meg 2, The Trench. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Has anybody seen any of those 5?
I have not. Nope.
I got a feeling Lunsford has seen Meg 2, The Trench.
He's not back there.
I've not seen any of them, man.
I have not. Worst actor, Russell Crowe for The Pope's Exorcist, Vin Diesel, Fast 10, Chris Evans, Ghosted, Jason Statham, Meg 2, The Trench, and John Voight, Mercy. For worst actress, Ana de Armas for Ghosted, Megan Fox, Johnny and Clyde, Salma Hayek for Magic Mike's Last Dance, J-Lo for The Mother, and Helen Mirren for Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Nominations by pictures, The Expendables 4 led the Razzies with 7 nominations.
Wow.
And that is Trash Today, brought to you by our friends at Mortgage Right.
Yeah, buying a home, major milestone in life. Getting it right comes down to the right advice at the right time. That's why we're proud to partner with our friends at Mortgage Right, who do mortgages the right way. Call 205-815-9200 or apply online, mortgageright.com/TNR.
Jody says Meg 2 sucked. Jay says Blood and Honey wasn't that bad. Stacy Oliver says The Exorcist was okay, but not great. Your reaction in the chat room all the time.
Just taken out of context. Well, The Exorcist was okay, not great. She's still spitting shit, but still.
Andy Kennedy is up next, right here on TNR.
Follow The Next Round on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Next Round Live.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Hey, if you're looking for Birmingham's best pizza, you need to stop in and see our friends at Slice Pizza and Brew. It's as local as you can get, from the ingredients that go into every pizza to the beer on tap. For a great lunch or dinner, go see our friends today, Vestavia or Lakeview at Slice.
When it comes to great clothing, I love comfortable clothing that I can also wear to the golf course or anywhere I go. I get that from Roback. Ryan Brown here for The Next Round. Whether it is the softest hoodies you'll ever find, they're great quarter zips, the polos, the pants, the crew necks, you can get them all at Roback.com, and we're helping you save. Your first order at Roback.com can get a 20% discount when you use code TNR20. That is Roback.com, code TNR20 for 20% off your initial order at Roback.com.
For more than 40 years, Red Wing Shoes has been helping the hardworking people of Alabama. This is why Red Wing Shoes has created the 3-step comfort solution. Step 1, a certified fit specialist will use a 3D scan to electronically measure your feet and arches. Step 2, the fit specialist helps you get the appropriate footwear for your occupation. Step 3, customize your boot or shoe with a Red Wing orthotic. Whether you have a high arch or flat feet, Red Wing has comfort solutions for you. So experience comfort at its best. Visit one of the Red Wing shoe stores located in Pelham or Trussville.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert, because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
The Double Down Media podcast family is live and full of content for all ages. The Mystery Fifth Hour gives the Next Round host a chance to talk about everything but sports. Pour a glass of Bama and bourbon, our weekly college football conversation while sipping some of the most interesting pours in the bourbon world. And our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call. LT takes off the gloves for an in-depth conversation with stars like Taylor Hicks, presented by Redmond Vodka. Find those podcasts and more by searching The Next Round on Apple, Spotify, and on our website, nextroundlive.com. Andy Kennedy is standing by. We'll get to him right now. Matthew says, Jim Dunaway, are you ready to eat your prediction about Ryan Williams? Next round. I am. On National Signing Day, I'll eat that, man. Matthew, thank you for watching for the first time on the show ever.
If y'all didn't know what Dunaway was doing there, y'all are crazy.
Matthew, thank you for being new to the show and for the first time ever tuning in today.
Andy Kennedy is with us now. He joins us each week courtesy of Legacy Credit Union. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. What is up, Coach? How are you today?
Hey, guys. I'm hanging. How are y'all?
Doing well. I know.
Wait. When I say I'm hanging, it means one thing. When you say you're hanging, what does it mean for you?
Means I'm hanging, man. Hanging by a thread, right?
Yeah.
Such is the life of a coach in late January.
Yeah. Usually when I'm hanging, it's I've had too many refreshments the night before, and Maggie's always, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Sorry, baby, I am hanging. I'm hanging today." So.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, how stiff was the drink?
I'm still hungover from our loss. That's the
That's what I was going to ask you.
Takes me a couple days to get over that, but hey, man, I'm a big boy. We got to move forward.
Well, you had 20, or you guys were up 20 against Charlotte. You end up losing that game.
Dang, Lance, I mean.
Well, I was just going to ask, how strong was the drink after the game?
Man, we traveled back right after. I got back into the wee hours of the morning, so straight to bed and back up on the grind the next morning.
That team, though, is a really good basketball team. Is it?
They're playing good,
right? Is it the
There's
loss?
a difference.
Is it the loss or the fact that you had such a big lead and you let it get away? And I know it can be both, but sometimes you can lose a game. Like, say, Bruce lost last night in Tuscaloosa. They played really, maybe not their A game, but they played hard till the end. And they blew a little bit of a lead, but you blew, there was a 20-point lead at that point. Does that bother you that you feel like maybe you let one slip away, leading so much in the first half?
You know what? Not even really that. It's just I didn't feel like we played to the way that we were prepared to play. That's what bothers you as a coach. Sometimes you're going to lose. Up 20, down 20. Things happen. There's a thing called the shot clock. You got to keep playing. A lot of times people think, man, you were up 20, must have been playing great. Well, really we weren't. You guys are kind of watching the game and you're doing other things, and you just kind of look at the score and say, man, they're up 20, they must be playing good. Some of it was, we were fortunate that guys were doing things that they don't typically do. And then they made some adjustments. I thought we schematically, again, my job as a coach is to manipulate the game. So I thought we did a good job of schematically kind of keeping them out of rhythm. They're a rhythm-based team. Then they made some adjustments, and it became kind of big boy basketball, you versus me. And I refer to it all the time in my sport as winning one-on-ones. We'd won 8 of our last 9 going into that game by getting better in that area, winning one-on-ones, in the clock, me versus you. I am not going to let you get to your spot. I am going to be tougher than you. And that's where we lost the game. We had 6 balls in our hands in the second half that we didn't secure. It led to 8 points for Charlotte. We lose by 6. Those are the things that drive me crazy as a coach.
All right, I'm going to turn the page for you because Memphis is coming up. You can't soak on this one too long because Memphis is a dang good team. Penny's bringing his team in for the Bartow Classic. And let's start there. There are a lot of great things about moving to the American. One of them is the revival of a home and home in Memphis. I'm not going to say it's the best part about it. For the fans, Coach, it's one of the best parts about it.
Yeah, surely. Our people feel a certain type of way versus those Tigers. There's no question about that. We hadn't had an opportunity to play them yet in my time here, but we're looking forward to that on Sunday. Outstanding team. Again, I hate to speak on another guy's team, but from my vantage point, it's Penny's maybe his most balanced team, maybe his most talented team. They really don't have any flaws other than maybe quality of depth in their backcourt. They lost a kid, Caleb Mills, and I hate, a guy whose career took a real detour based on injuries. I hate to see any kid get hurt, and they lost a kid, Caleb Mills, who was an outstanding player a few weeks back to I think it was a torn patella tendon, and so he's out for the season. So it cut into one of their major players in the backcourt. But then they picked up Naquan Tomlin, a 6'10" kid. It'd be nice to do that. I'd like to pick one up between now and Sunday, but he picked up a 6'10" kid who was a real pivotal player for Kansas State in their Elite 8 run last year. So they added him to the mix. Their front court is dynamic. You guys know how good Javon Quinterly is. He's a a former SEC tournament most valuable player. I mean, this guy's dynamic with the basketball. So they really don't have any weaknesses as it relates to personnel. Now, they've lost a couple in a row based on one possession here, one possession there. But that's just the life of college basketball. They've had a week to prepare. I'm sure they'll come in here ready for a battle. And I think our guys will too. I'm really expecting Bartow Arena to have some magic back in it. It is the Bartow Classic. We'll have some former players back in the building. And so I just hope our guys can rise to the occasion because we're going to have to play outstanding to beat a team with the quality of players that Memphis has.
Would it be your desire that the Memphis home game is always the Bartow Classic? Is that the plan, or would it bounce around, do you think?
I think sometimes it just is based on timing.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of influence on that one way or the other. I just think it's based on the timing of it. They typically do the Bartow Classic around this time, late January, early February, and it's better to do it on a weekend than a weekday for obvious reasons. So it just kind of fell right.
AK, I know we've talked about it before. You don't have a Jelly Walker on this team, but Alejandro Vasquez is a guy that's gone 25 plus in 3 different games. St. Bonaventure's to UAB, but there was that gap year. What was the recruitment for Vasquez, and is there a cool backstory when it comes to him?
Yeah, he went to junior college route. This is ironic. So he and Eric Gaines actually played against one another. Eric was at LSU and AJ was at St. Bonnie's in the NCAA tournament, if you remember that a few years back. And then AJ's path went a little different, and he ended up at Salt Lake City Community College, one of the best junior college jobs in the country. And we just were, we saw him, we recruited him. He knew, based on we had some mutual connections, and then he actually played. They didn't overlap, but he actually played at one of the high schools that Jelly played at, so there was that connection. And he saw the opportunity and he seized it. I'm really proud for the kid. The kid is a great kid, and he works hard. And he was up and down early. I think he's finally kind of found his stride. And it usually takes 12, 15 games for junior college kids to understand that. Hey, what do you mean we got to practice hard again today, Coach? I mean, what do you mean? You said last game that this was a hard team. This is another hard team we're playing today? Yeah, they're all hard, son. And it takes them a little while to figure that out. But he and Yax and Chris Coleman, they've started to really develop in that regard and starting to provide us consistent play, which we desperately need.
Again, the game's Sunday, 975 UAB 1, 975 UAB 1. For more information, just go to uabsports.com, buy your tickets there. There are tickets available. You talk about the magic of that place. It's not a bad seat in the house, and of any of the sports, it seems to me basketball is the one that is most influenced by home court advantage than any other sport. Do you agree?
Yeah, no question. I mean, the numbers bear that out. I think it's like a 73% win total for home teams. And I think it's a number of things. I think it's just the closeness of the crowd. You can actually feel the crowd when they're into the game, the emotion of it. Different, football's kind of a roar because there's so many people. This is, basketball is so much more intimate that it certainly comes into play. We have actually played better in Bartow as of late. I think we've won 5 straight, and we're 2-0 in the AAC play. And in order to have an opportunity to, again, put yourself in a position to make a run down the stretch, you got to protect your home floor.
The game itself raises money for cancer research. So it's not just a game that has Coach Bartow's name on it. That would be enough, but it also raises money for cancer research. You can donate there, uabsports.com for the link there. But that's important too, Andy, is that to point out is this is not just where we honor a coach. That's important, but it is also raising money for a very important cause.
Yeah, and I think a portion of the ticket proceeds go to the O'Neill Cancer Center here on our UAB campus. And yeah, there's a lot of causes, and there's no reason. I understand, C.M. Newton, the late great C.M. Newton, who I've got great affinity for, always said, basketball's kind of in a tough spot till you really get to about February or March, because you really don't have a jump off and you're always in competition with football. When you start college basketball, it's really right when football is getting into the meat of the conference schedule, and people kind of focus on that. And now, as we've got the Bartow Classic on a Sunday, I told you guys I kind of prefer Sunday versus Saturday because it gets you out of the fray, so to speak, and puts more attention on your game. But then there's a little thing called the NFL playoffs that we're going head up against. So hopefully that won't deter too many. I think because it is Memphis and because of the gravity of the game, we'll have a good crowd in Bartow.
Lance has told us the outcome of that early game's already decided. So
yeah,
you come out.
Who you got, LT?
No, I think Baltimore might be the best team right now in the NFL, but the NFL wants Taylor Swift and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They really do. And they are manipulating this. They've got this ref, Sean Smith, who, if you look at against the spread numbers on road teams to home teams, it is night and day.
I brought it up. I'm sorry I brought it up.
He brought it up.
I apologize to the listeners. I would say this, though. I'm going to tell you who else wants the Chiefs in the championship game, and that's old Patrick Mahomes. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he bet.
He is.
He bet.
He's pretty good.
All right. As Dunaway said, Sunday, Bartow Classic. They're at Bartow Arena.
4 o'clock, right? 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock tip. I think there's like 1,500 tickets available. I mean, this is getting to be close to real. Typically there's going to be a little bit of a walk up. So get your tickets now. Let's create a little more magic back in Bartow.
Yeah, 975 UAB1 or UABsports.com to get the tickets. Good luck, Coach. We look forward to talking to you about a win over Memphis next week.
Hey, the hat crew, all 4 of us. Is this the first time?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
You know, it was raining this morning.
Omen,
I went hat. It was raining this morning. I like yours.
Well, I just think it's a good omen, and the bad guys always wear black, so me and LT are representing black hats versus white hats.
I think I'm better looking bald now.
By the way, I think that's accurate.
I only speak the truth, guys.
Thank you, AK.
See you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that is Andy Kennedy on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline presented by Legacy Credit Union.
Yeah, Legacy Credit Union, the home of that low-interest balance transfer on a credit card, 2.9% APR. Get details at LegacyCreditUnion.com. LegacyCreditUnion.com, a proud supporter of UAB athletics. Looking forward to that game on Sunday with Memphis and UAB. Forgot Javon Quinterly was there.
You know, I had kind of myself, I haven't watched a ton of Memphis until he brought up JQ, and then
watched him this past week against Tulane.
Yeah,
and it's like typical Memphis. JQ? Yeah, he does. But typical Memphis team where these dudes look like, where did you? It's a bunch of defensive ends.
Yeah, Penny can coach though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done a good job there in Memphis. Better than Pastor did.
Can recruit.
Pastner on the desk last night. I was telling somebody that is one of the worst coaches ever.
Can you believe they gave him that job after Cal had? I mean, Cal had him in a national championship game. They handed it to Josh Pastner.
Went down after that. Alabama a winner last night over Auburn, but it's time to move forward. Auburn didn't go back home, by the way. They're off to Starkville, and they're going to spend the time on the road, not back to the campus. Getting ready for the weekend game there. Alabama home to LSU, UAB on Sunday. We're back with you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America.